DH Thorne coming at you live. We are here, we are there, we are everywhere. We have people from Canada, from the West Coast, East Coast, South Coast, North Coast. Everybody's here tonight. Sorry we're about 5 minutes late, but we're usually a little fashionably late.
Yeah, that's early for us.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. For those of you who don't know, this is my good friend, Nina the Mystic. You guys have seen her in the chat many times, and you'll probably see her many more to come. She is one of our most highly prized and valuable friends who does moderation stuff. Say hi to everybody again, Nina. You were on last week for a minute on a phone call version, but you're here tonight to actually be the Star of Honor. So what is up?
Wow, I'm honored to be here. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's about time, eh? It's been a while. We've been talking about it, and yeah.
Yes, it has. You've been around on this channel longer than I have, and I just celebrated, 1 year anniversary of being on here.
Yeah.
See, you've been a supporter even longer than I have.
Right. Yeah, I know. I remember that. DH was doing a live ritual, and he had no moderators at all in there, and this guy came in and just shot all over it, and that was it. I'm like, no, this can't happen again. Yeah, so that was it.
Back when I just had my little baby bat wings on live stream. What do I do?
You've grown so much since then.
I have. They're at least a foot long now.
Or I should say, you've grown since then, but really there's less of you now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right?
Well, that's pretty funny because Dice Controller just said that. He said, damn, that dude's lost more weight than Silent Bob. I'm jealous. I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. Let's put on the gun show. Yeah, they're going to get bigger and more defined every time you see me from here on out. My goal is to become the black magic monster. I'm trying to catch up to Enoch Petrocelli. And actually, you know what? I don't know if you guys know, if you go on his channel, there's an interview he and I did about 2 weeks ago or so. And I'm probably going to put it up this week on my channel. So if you haven't watched it, it's coming up on mine, or watch it on his. We had a really good time, and I forgot to put it up, so I got to do that. I had it sitting waiting, and I'm like, I gotta put this thing live. So he's a really cool person to have on too, by the way. We should get him on an actual live, but he's a little shy, so.
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. He did some channeling of Belial there the other day. I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's very skilled. I mean, his life, the things he's gone through, not to make it all about him because he's not here, but the things he's gone through and done, both good and bad, and he's very sincere about it. And, I'm always impressed whenever I encounter, I can always tell when I'm encountering a real black magician when they don't shy away from their mistakes and flaws, and they live with them, they're proud of them, they learn to capitalize on them, they learn to adapt to them. Like EA's flaws, he doesn't hide them, he wears them on his sleeve. My flaws are pretty obvious, I don't deny them. Oh, you're arrogant, egotistical. Damn right I am. But I love you, my friend.
It's that beauty of, rather than, what's that saying? That a scar is like what happens to a tree. You can never make that scar go away, but by continuing to grow, you can make it a little smaller part of you, but you still wear it no matter what.
Yeah, it makes you stronger. In fact, scars are stronger than regular flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of like the wrinkles too. They're as far as I'm concerned, a proof of how much you've been laughing, in life and having a good time. So.
Right.
There's actually a quote about scars that I really liked. Scars are proof of a time that life tried to kill you and failed.
Just made you stronger. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
people are already asking, they're already intrigued by the things in your background there. You have some shirts and stuff with symbols. So let's start talking about you for a while, since you're our special guest, and I feel like we owe you a sort of a debt, because of all the selfless work you've done. So I'm really going to do my best, and I'm going to fail miserably because it's just in my nature to fail with this. I'm going to do my best to make this the Nina show.
Gonna wear that scar
for a little while. Yeah. So I'm going to fail miserably, especially when this thing starts cooking wrong.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't catch on fire over there.
Well, if it does, I actually... Yeah, look, I'm gonna give you guys a little secret. I don't care how much you believe in the gods and magic. Always have one of these fuckers right handy when you're doing flame-based ritual.
We have one in every room.
Every room, anywhere that there might be this. This will probably be fine. I'm just trying to avoid molten lava all over my altar setup. So.
Yeah, I I love your setup, Nina, because I mean, Camilla and I over here, it's basically just our rooms, and I try to make mine look really nice. And DH, like, I know your setup is very intentional for stream, but it also looks like you're posted up in a cool looking corner of a room. And Nina's when you look at Nina and her setup, it's just, here I am. I am very intentionally going to do this. This is exactly what this is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically, my dining room table has now turned into a studio. So that's basically what's going on here.
That's pro.
Yeah, so just use the wall behind you, right? So if you're able to find a space that has some wall, do that, and then you can put whatever you want back there, you know. So,
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm selling merch, obviously, as you can tell, and I think I'm the only one that sells Antacorona merch online. I have looked. I haven't seen it anywhere else. So it's an ancient symbol. I did not come up with the symbol itself, but it is an ancient symbol that people have been using for thousands of years. It does work. It's actually something that's not just cool, but it actually something that works just by looking at it. So visualize that spinning around and going around the front of you, up to, over your head, down the other side, and just continually spinning around and opening up your chakras to make sure they don't get all blocked and whatnot. So there is a description. If you go into the Teespring, every item has the description of the Antacorona in there, if you're curious about the actual little blurb about what it does. But yeah, I found out about it actually through R. Wayne Steiger that I watch. I'm in that chat Monday to Friday. And it's kind of like a little classroom now. It's a little family atmosphere that's kind of happening there. Anyways, he did a show on the Antacorona. And if you don't know Wayne, he always comes in all prepared. He's got the slideshows. He's got everything going on to show us. Yeah, it's a very powerful symbol. We all kind of resonated with it, and we're using it. We're sticking it. You can print them out and put them under your mattress. You can put them up everywhere, and use them. And then I thought, well, hey, why not wear them, right? So, yeah, so it's working. I haven't had any complaints, and it's working for me. That's for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, Wayne is a scholar and a gentleman, and I'm never going to say his name right because I've got like one of those mental blocks about names. I'm going to either call him Wayne R. Wayne, blah blah blah.
Just Wayne.
But
Wayne, yeah.
Just Wayne. I respect him a lot for his, especially he's very learned. He's definitely a practitioner, and it's like this. There is a definite issue in magical communities where there is a glut of superstitious nonsense that isn't really backed up by much. And I like when people are willing to do the research, anthropological or otherwise, to at least tell the story which is at least resounds with the information that's really available. I can't stand it. Like, I'll be looking around and people will be just exclaiming things about a spirit and stuff that they heard, and they don't really do the homework. But Wayne really does. And whether he's always right or not, at least I trust that he's done the homework, right? Mm-hmm. And so I really respect him. I don't know if he'd ever be on, but I'd love to have him on, or even be on his show. So whatever word you can drop for that.
He actually does another show called Artists First, or it's a radio station that's called Artists First. He's on there every Thursday, actually, so I kind of missed that because I'm on your thing here, where he apparently it's a platform that's not censored. So there, he's super prepared. I mean, he's got it all, prepared ahead of time. Or he'll talk about things that you can't talk about on YouTube. So a lot of the things that we kind of want to talk about that we can't talk about and whatever, he'll talk about that there. So that's another,
because he can do it.
To find him and stuff, how he's thinking and whatever. So yeah.
I've thought about doing, because people have asked if I would do Spotify podcasts or other I've thought about it only because I want to be able to get on a platform where I can really push the boundaries more, because YouTube it's like the PG-13 R-rated, right? It's like and it's censored a lot, and so But speaking of things that often get censored, I don't want to say the word because probably the word will get me flagged. But they're talking about your symbol there, and saying how it is. So people are saying, the Anta Karana, it looks a little bit like we'll say the other guys of World War II.
Yeah, I get it.
A plus sign with some extra legs.
Yeah. Well, now you know kind of where they got it from, right? They took an ancient sun symbol and turned it now into it's a symbol that we can't use anymore now because of that. But he was actually a very skilled occultist. And everything.
We're talking about the H-bomb guy. We're talking about
the leader of the German party back in the 40s.
Right.
Yeah.
The hologram man. Yeah. I say hologram because he put the H on his forehead.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
pretty much got
So
it.
he was actually a very skilled occultist, and everything that they used, all the symbols, everything that is all intentional. So this isn't the same, but it is similar. So there's a lot of the ancient symbols that look quite a lot alike, but they do kind of the same thing about the whole going around. So if you look at it, it's almost like 3 sevens. Some people see 3 sevens just spinning around, and I'm visualizing that spinning around in your chakras and loosening everything up and getting rid of all the built up energy in there. So
yeah, because the symbol of the other guys from World War II was Suelu, right? That's what it was, Suelu, and it was like the sun rune basically. It's basically it's a very and there's other versions that you can probably get away with using, but here's the twisted part. People are so triggered by the shape at all.
Yeah.
As soon as you have that L shape in multiples.
Yeah.
It is instantly questionable to people. So you have like the black sun, right? Now the black sun was also occasionally appropriated by the other guys, but not as much. You have the black sun symbol, which is a whole metric fuck ton of those things going around, and people get twisted. Now, and someone just put it, that's also the 4 right angles represent the black sun. People are also saying what I'm saying. And so you have this, and people will see that and go, is that meant to be, to the point where I'll even have sigils where I don't know it, because when I'm channeling a sigil, I don't necessarily know what's coming out. And that funky little shape will pop out on part of it. And I'll be like, uh-oh, can I share this anywhere now? People are going to think I'm a closet, other guys.
I literally just posted about that in the Discord a few hours ago. I made a logo for a website. And the design of it, it's not by any means, but when I got done, I kind of squinted at him like, that can't be misconstrued, can it? Because it kind of has a... No, I'm fine.
Well, this is how this whole thing has just gotten out of hand now. The whole political correctness, and now the cancel, thing and whatever. It's just gotten out of hand. I'm done with all of that. I just don't care anymore.
The thing is other than the fact that it is being promoted by the current other guys, as I will call them, other than the fact that it's being promoted by that side for social engineering purposes, it's the equivalent of the moral panic of the 80s and 90s. It's just turned into other stuff. It's not about, the satanic panic anymore, which is actually rearing its ugly head again on the other side. So, which is like, it leaves me kind of sitting in the middle, like, okay, you guys are assholes, and now I got to worry about you too? Fuck the whole thing. I don't want any part of this. At this point, I'm ready to just go to the top of my mountain. And I've been saying this a lot in Discord. I am literally just going to be slow clapping as the whole fucking world burns at this point. Fuck you all.
You
You
all
get what's
can
coming.
have each other. You're a perfect match.
Yeah, what's that you said a couple weeks ago? I hope you both fight to the
Yeah,
toaster bath and win.
Yeah. Please fight to the death, and I hope you both win. Yeah, I mean that's how I feel about it, and that's actually how the other guys feel about it. To be brutally honest, they agree with me on this. They actually want everybody to fight to the death.
Well, that is the agenda.
And
That's
win.
part of the agenda with the whole movements now, where they're using things, like race, so that we'll fight each other against that, or they'll use our sexuality, so that we'll fight about that. It's part of the. They don't care what we're fighting about, as long as we're fighting.
As long as we're fighting.
And keep us busy over there, so that we're not paying attention to what they're doing over there. That's a classic, thing that's going on.
Absolutely, and it is subversive. It's meant to undermine the strength of the cultures that they're trying to bring to heel. And that's really what it is. It's happened many times in history before. They know it. They use it effectively. When they're done, we'll probably just drift into, the system that they want. And because I know Flesh Priest has some interesting counterpoints to this, which we won't necessarily get too deep into all this tonight, but he's got some interesting counters to some of this, which I don't entirely disagree with. So we'll put it that way. I'm sure he would, I don't know how he'd respond to that, but we'll talk about that perhaps as we move forward. But I want to go back a little bit to the L7, the symbol of the twisted L's and sevens. As Ajna was pointing out, because Ajna's background is obviously in Eastern spirituality, they always know where I'm going with my stuff. They resonate very well with my broad non-dual rhetoric. And they're pointing out quite correctly that if you go, of course, to Asia, if you say, oh, that's an evil other guy's symbol, they're gonna might beat you up. In fact, I mean, they're gonna laugh you down, or they're gonna beat you up, because to them it's like, what are you, crazy? That's not what this means. Life. This is a beautiful symbol. What's wrong with you? So people also should just as an additional final note to put a capstone on that, unless you guys want to say more about it, you have to remember that anytime that they can undermine your culture, your sense of identity, your sense of national pride, that's what they're going to do. And that's what they're doing right now. They don't want you to have any sense of love for your country or your countrymen. They want you to look at everybody around you and be like, they're not wearing a mask. They're unvaccinated. They're wearing a mask. They are vaccinated, and cause you to hate. They're causing you to, they want you to look at the Olympics and say, look at our guys. They're kneeling for our thing. How horrible America is. Yeah. They want you to look at our media and say, look, we've got no heroes anymore. All of our heroes suck. Our movies suck. Everything sucks. They want you demoralized. Once you're completely demoralized, they'll let off, just like every abuser does. So
go look at New York City with the whole show your, it's up to the businesses to ask for the papers now. Vaccine papers.
I saw something. I was at Subway there at our local mall here, and they had a sign up. So we don't have to wear masks now here. And they had a sign up though saying that if you hadn't had the, you were supposed to wear it. So they're basically asking on the honor system for now, though, right? But I mean,
right.
For
that's
now.
Where we started.
Passport, yeah, you're not gonna be able to go to Subway here for sure, and I'm sure all the other stores will probably, follow suit. And it's a social pressure that's going on here, right? So, just like it did in the mid '40s, actually, it kind of reminds me a little bit. I grew up post-war in Europe, so I saw a lot of it. And saw, I found a skull in my backyard, from soldiers.
Oh, wow.
I grew up post-war, and I remember the war sirens and everything else. Anyways, I heard a lot of stories, and it reminds me a little bit about what's going on now. We're all supposed to comply with what the government wants, even though it goes against your gut, you're not supposed to do it, but everybody else is. Oh, we better do it because they're going to take away your whatever. And that's exactly what's going on now.
Well, I would remind everybody who is worried that some elements of this are not at all new in our culture at all. I don't just mean, oh, we've been ruined by despots before. No, I mean, even here in America, we've gone through periods of our own history in recent memory. There's people alive today who remember the clashes of the 60s, who remember, probably nobody alive that I would know that knows Prohibition, but there's people who are even still alive now that remember Prohibition. These things were real, okay? They remember Jim Crow laws. They remember these real, horrible things that kind of, because we grew up in the 80s and 90s, most of us, maybe a little bit of the 70s, depending upon, since we grew up in that era when everything was kind of okay, we can't imagine a time when our government was bad.
No, I know. That's the thing. They always wait, like the 9/11. That's exactly 20 years ago. They always wait at least 1 or 2 generations before they do the next thing, so that we have forgotten. Because most people don't pay attention to history and everything else. I mean, you just go look back at Christianity, how that came in. Again, I mean, I don't remember that, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It was social pressure. They came in. If you didn't convert, well, you're gone. We're going to take you out. So,
it's weird knowing 9/11 was 2 decades ago, and
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna ask the New Yorkers this. Is it now long enough to joke about it?
I
It's
joked
been
about it
long
like a
enough
week
since it
later,
happened.
so
Sorry.
It's cool now, right? Yeah. Okay. Good.
yeah, it's been fine with me. I mean, you know.
I could joke about anything, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Cool. I'm probably not going to, at least not right now.
You haven't
because-
seen my memes about it where you have like pictures of Hulk Hogan smashing it with a chair. Like you know, that was another, I mean, I don't want, like, there's certain things that they're taboos, and as a left-hand path person, I don't like to have taboos on anything, on any possible knowledge. I don't care how. There are times knowledge does start to offend me, and I've got to like Clockwork Orange, like we were talking about. I gotta just and make myself aware of it, even if I don't like it, because I need to know as much as I can. Now, some things are uncomfortable because it's, you know, how do I put this? It's existential. You know, know that you're listening to your enemy talk about killing you, and or you know that it's something that's really just, you know, you already know it. You don't need to hear it again. But this is a big part of shadow work. This is, so somebody was asking me, I don't know if they're watching this, they were asking me to talk about the Shadowgate project that I did last year, and I'm going to be doing it again this year, probably very soon. The Shadowgate project last year, we opened up the gates to the Shadow Current, and it was emphasizing Legion itself. Legion being the group collective shadow consciousness of the collective consciousness, the part of our collective conscious that is unaware of itself. And the way I see it was either we saw it coming or we caused it. I'm more inclined to think we saw it coming, divinatorially. And we did these rituals, and sure enough, because we did the big ones on Halloween, sure enough, then you have the elections. And we already did earlier ones in the year. We did earlier ones in the early spring that you saw how the summer of 2020 went. So so we had a collective group where I had we did it really 2 times, but we only did it publicly once. The more private one was just me and another guy or 2 that did it. And we saw what happened over the summer. Then we did the one right before, and then you have all of the hell that's come out since then, where everybody right now, it's like that part in the Bible where people are tearing their shirts and gnashing their teeth. Everybody knows something is deeply, deeply, deeply wrong with our established system on, they don't always know what, they don't know why, they don't necessarily agree on what the problem is. I would always err on the side of saying it's always authoritarianism somewhere that's the problem. I don't think most people would disagree with that. But the thing is that opening these gates has sort of required everybody to face the thing that they're afraid of about this, or succumb to it, really. Do you go quietly into the night and subject yourself to just accepting? Do you rail against it? Do you watch it and not care? You know, how far do you go in your solution to it? My solution used to be very active and proactive. I used to try to sort of wake people up, kind of like in the movie They Live. I saw myself as Nada, and I saw all my friends as what's his name? For some reason I can't remember his name right now.
Tough wrestler.
But his yeah, and like they had to fight, and like the fight was like a 20-minute fight. It was like the longest fight in history, and that was actually, people were like, wow, that's such a funny fight. No, that's the metaphor of trying to be informed and trying to inform others, because it is a fight that's that hard. You have to deal with their bias against your truth, which is fair. I don't expect somebody to just believe the craziest story never told, which is what you might call it if you know what's really going on. It's that it is like that, to try to get people to understand the bigger picture of what's really happening. You even have people who would agree with what's happening who don't even see the bigger picture above that. They don't realize what they are really doing. They think it's like, oh, we're just going to depopulate and all. Yeah, that's true, probably in the long term. But what if there's a higher reason even than you can see that maybe they're not wrong even in doing that? So this is where the black magic left-hand path thing comes in. Is it taboo to question? Is it taboo to want to know? Is it taboo to what are you supposed to do? As I have progressed through my own awareness through this, I have gone from revolutionary activist to I'm just going to go to the top of my mountain and slow clap while you fuckers kill yourselves.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like we've kind of been on the same journey here, because I'm kind of at the same place where, you know, I woke up a few years ago. And when you first wake up, of course, you're going to get your soapbox out, and you just can't get enough of telling the world how it is, right? So I had a group on Facebook. I was, you know, doing all of this. I even fell into Christianity for a little bit too, because a lot of these blood moons and all the stuff that's in the Bible actually is happening. So, you know, I can see why the Christians are all up, you know, thinking that this is it, right? And Jesus coming back now. I can see why. Okay, but now I kind of know, you know, the agenda that obviously is just a story being played out now.
Yep.
So that's what's happening.
They're emulating it like they did in Dune with the Orange Catholic Bible. I mean, these are things. The Missionaria Protectiva in Dune. I suddenly feel like Eddie just showed up. The Missionaria Protectiva is this thing that they inserted into the religion of the quasi-religion. It's like a combination of Catholicism, Sufism, Indian, and I think Islam. So they kind of made this universalist religion, and they inserted propagandistic stuff so that the Bene Gesserits in particular could utilize that to sway politics and social opinion. So like, let's say you ended up in a backwater planet who was fanatically believing of all of this stuff, you could step in and act like the Messiah and take over. And that's literally what Paul Muad'Dib does. Knowingly so, in fact. That's part that they don't quite tell you, is it wasn't just a prophecy. Of course it was a prophecy, because it was sort of a plan.
They laid down their own back doors, and then he took one, and it was the Bene Gesserit's downfall. Just,
exactly.
Shit.
He was like the white hat hacker in a way for his own system, yeah. So he basically used the back door, and that's what they're doing to that religious right. And when I say right, I mean not right wing, I mean right hand path. That's what they're doing to them. Okay? And I do mean right wing too, but I mean the religious right hand path people. They are looking for that easy answer. Like we were just watching that new show, Blood of Zeus. I just watched the first episode, pretty cool so far. And there's a scene where, like, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but it's the first episode, so fuck you if you haven't seen it. I'm not giving much away. Ares is confronting Zeus, like, why don't we help them or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And Zeus is like, because humanity must grow, and they won't grow if we make it easy for them. So we can't just do it for them. And that's a message I've gotten consistently throughout this whole awakening of my own to what's going on, where I have gone from what's going to save us to maybe we're not supposed to get saved.
No.
Maybe we are supposed to be culled. Maybe that is what's supposed to happen. And because if we're so attached to our bodies, if we're so attached to this material dimension, then we're going to suffer. Even if we win, let's say even we get our way, then all we're doing is like we're like that teenager that won't move out because they're like 20, 21, 22, and they just won't move out even though they've got the ability, and they're just like, but mommy folds my sheets just right. You know, what are we supposed to do? And I'm reminded constantly that you die every moment and you're reborn every moment. And when that death happens, it's like going to sleep. So on a very meaningful level, we are supposed to act with nobility and sincerity in this life, of course. But we are also not supposed to be so attached to it that when we lose, we cry about it. When we die, we cry about it.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember that everything goes through cycles, and the Earth has gone through many, many cycles. We already know all this, and we're going through another one. So, you know, yeah, it's not going to be fun. You know, the end game is not fun. So, you know, I don't think people are ready for that. Knowing about that yet, no. So in the meantime, we just need to, you know, just make every day, you know, count, and just you know, do what you can. And I've done with trying to wake people up too. If you haven't woken up yet, especially since the last year and a half here, if this hasn't woken you up, then nothing's going to wake you up. And then, you know, then it's just a matter of everybody, is going to wake up in their take turns taking up at different levels. People are at different levels now. Some are going to be waking up later. We just got to be there for them now. Like there's no,
I think there's still plenty of people that will wake up. It's just some of them are younger or they don't pay attention. But it is a thing where you're right. I mean, the lines are being drawn and they're pretty solid at this point. And if someone's actively opposing you and they're parroting this and that, and I mean that on either side, to be brutally honest, because like you got the QAnon guys that they're parroting stuff too. They're not actually thinking.
No, that's the whole
they're
psyop,
reacting.
by the way. The whole Q thing.
Yeah.
All of that was a psyop.
Yeah. I checked it out for a little bit and I gave it a chance. I was like, let's see what they say.
Yeah, so did I.
Okay,
Sat
that's
back
interesting.
And watched, but I didn't
Yeah.
get too attached to it because somebody like Mr. T, with the kind of money that he has, there's just no way that he's some, like he was bought off twice. Bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about now, but at first I thought you were talking about an A-team member.
No, we're talking about the orange cheetah.
Orange man. We're not allowed to say his
Orange
name,
man.
because that triggers a lot of people. And
Yep.
I was hopeful too that because some of the stuff that he was talking about, it does sounds good because he is in that kind of position where you can't buy him off now. Like he's got so much money, he doesn't give a about the rest of these players. Like when he moved into the White House, he was looking down. Like his wife, they're like, ew, like they're used to the gold plated toilet. Okay, that's what they have in their apartment. They look down at this place like they didn't belong there even. Like they're like, and there's no money that you can buy him off, whatever. So if he saw something, and I'm sure every politicians when they come in there, they're always, I think they have a good intentions coming in. It's just that once they're in there, and I do remember the first time, the first meeting after he got elected, he looked like a kid.
Yeah.
Who just found out that Santa wasn't real.
He really did.
He
He really did. I
Like,
remember
you could
when he
see
was
that
sitting there
on
with
his face.
Obama.
Holy.
When he was sitting there with Obama and he's sitting there doing his little hand sign, like I'm one of y'all's, I'm a high-end Illuminati guy, and he's sitting there and there, he really looked like he just got shown a picture of the alien reptiles that are controlling the planet, like for real.
Yeah.
He already knew this though.
He has
That's
no
the thing.
idea, and that's the thing. None of the presidents do. They're just like the guy that's there now. He's a senior citizen. He doesn't even know what state he's in half the time. Obviously he's not the leader of the country, right? He's just some puppet that you have up there. And he was kind of too, like he was used, and whatever. And he had no clue what was going on, even with
The reason why he's so bad is, just like I said before, can anybody here legitimately tell me about anything that they have to be proud of for being a U.S. citizen right now? I'll wait.
I'm going to respectfully decline to answer that. But I will
Canadian,
interject with...
so it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to Nina.
Right,
Actually,
true.
Really quick, I'm gonna jump in and say two things. Nina, chat says that your voice is very relaxing, and they wish you made Mage ASMR. And I am also going to step away for a quick second to make myself a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. I need a little bit of juice.
Okay.
A little bit of juice. So that the potato, like if we get to call the other guy the orange Cheeto, we're gonna call the current guy the potato because he's really like a potato.
He's got
So
brains
the
of
potato,
so that's pretty good.
yeah. So the potato in chief right now is literally designed to make you demoralized, not because, look, it's supposed to be, how could someone this dumb be there?
Well, that's the thing. It's in your face. They don't even try to make it look like this guy has any power or any, apparently the White House is completely black. He's not even in there. Nobody's in there. Nobody knows what's even going on over there.
He's probably down in the bunker like he was for the whole election.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Wyatt being a young kid is, not to single him out negatively, he knows I love him. Wyatt being a young kid is currently looking at this through the lens of what the media is telling him. I can tell because of what I see. The thing is that there is no such thing as a leader anymore in our normal sense of it. There probably hasn't been in our lifetimes. There probably hasn't been in several lifetimes worth of our countries.
Yeah.
Leaders are behind the figureheads now, and you won't know who they are. But the reason why you hate the orange Cheetos so much is because they want you to. That's literally why. And they want you to hate the potato as well, by the way.
Right.
But the thing is that the orange Cheeto had the entire establishment against him. My adversarial nature says, whether I agree with that person or not on every issue, so long as I don't disagree on every issue, I'm going to support that monkey wrench because it's fucking up their establishment order that wants to kill me.
Yeah.
So even if he wasn't perfect, so long as he wasn't saying things like that were literally racist, like everyone says, which he didn't,
No.
I'm going to support that person because they represent opposition that is effective. So, did you not notice the quotations about leader? Wyatt says, I do, but the thing is that I actually respect people who go, I hate them all. Because those people at least paid attention long enough to know not to trust anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They may not always be right about their assessment of everybody, but at least they know enough to say, I've been burned before, I'm done with this whole show. Because this whole show is there to destroy your freedom.
Yeah. This show is crumbling. Everything is crumbling. So, and that's what's happening right now. It's just they're trying to do it in a way so that people don't notice it as much, and that's why we have all of these fightings and riots and all these, actually, on the mainstream media, they're not even showing you all the stuff that's going on in Europe. Like, there's huge demonstrations and people are on the street. Like, it's only in North America here that we're just sitting, as long as we got our TV and our pop, we're fine. We don't care, I'll let the place burn, give a shit. Europe, though, on the other hand, like, thousands and thousands of people are out there, but they won't tell you about that on the TV. Yep. You'll have to.
We are hurtling towards being like Europe in the next 10 to 20 years. The USA will be no different, and it will be that way, guaranteed. Now that to some people is great. That's fine. So long as I maintain my constitutional rights, I'm willing to put up with a bunch of stuff. Because like Timothy said, I appreciate my religious freedom. That's a big one. I need to maintain my right to free speech, which, here's the thing though, that not many people seem to get in all of this. They know. They've used supercomputers to game this all out. They know what people are going to do. And they have set this whole thing up so that more and more of our world is virtual. To the point where you will still have your blood and flesh and bone rights in your daily life. You can go and say what you want. You can write letters to whoever you want, saying whatever you want. You can maybe own certain things that they're trying to make illegal. We'll see about that. But your life online will be throttled based on that. And because online will become so important to your life, yes, they won't come to your house and arrest you because you voted for somebody. But you won't be able to use Facebook. You won't be able to use Twitter. You won't be able to use YouTube.
Well,
you won't be able to use Etsy. You won't be able to use Amazon. You won't be able to use PayPal. You won't be able to use all this stuff.
All you have to do is look at what they're doing in China. That's exactly what's going on in China. It's called a social credit score, okay? And that is exactly what they're doing here. We're being groomed right now. That's what's going on here, okay? People don't even realize what's going on here. It's like the frog boiling in the pot. He doesn't realize he's being boiled to death because it's happening so slow. Just a little bit of a heat, a little bit here and there. And the frog doesn't notice it until it's too late. And that's exactly what's happening here right now. And if we don't stand up, the thing is, this is way more of us than there is of them. But they are, they make it look like it's not, and people in Europe are standing up now, and that's what we need to do here in North America as well.
So that boiling frog thing is really, although it's not accurate, it's a perfect analogy because it's not technically accurate because a frog will jump out, but it's literally one of the best analogies ever.
Yeah.
And this is where, when and if Fleshy wants to come in with his opposing viewpoint, where he's going to end up looking right for a while because they're going to pump the brakes. They're going to ease off once they get enough of us to shut up, and that will happen. I guarantee it.
Yeah, well, especially people like us now who rely on the internet now. This is how we're doing our business now. Right now, we're working right now. And if we don't have the platforms, then our business is gone. So yeah, so they are winning on that side, because I took my group down. I did that last
They're quite
year.
literally winning on every side. I can't name one side where the good guys are winning, except that more and more people are. Well, here's the thing: in any movement or any, we'll say, brand, there is a phase where they're new, and only the most intelligent or most not always a good thing, by the way, but the people who are the most receptive to the real message, whether they're more intelligent or they're more adversarial or they're more this or whatever, they're more rebellious, the most effective people join first. And they're usually the wisest, they're usually the farthest seeing. But then at some point it becomes a popular movement, and the idiots start joining.
Well, and not only that, but the psyops. They'll put plant people in there, and they'll start up groups like the Q and movement and all of that.
Right.
And so it's
and
really
they suck
hard.
in the idiots.
It's really hard
They
to
suck in the
decipher
idiots.
what is what. That's the problem. And that's where we've gotten to now. So now everybody's just all pushing back. We're just sitting back now. We're not doing anything because we don't know who's what and where's up and down anymore. So.
Ooh, damn. I know. Am I allowed one political quip?
Yeah.
You're allowed many quips.
Let's
All right.
debate,
All right, well, you said it, so I'm just going to reaffirm your words. Yes, the Q does draw in the idiots.
It really fucking does.
Yeah.
And that's where the satanic panic may launch itself. And this is one thing that I don't approve of the Orange Cheeto about. But he's doing a Missionaria Protectiva thing. If you really know at all what you're looking at, his whole thing with the Bible is fake as fuck. He doesn't care about any of that shit.
Christian. They're Jews. Like his daughter converted to Judaism because she married, a Jewish guy, right? And he was I remember seeing an interview. He was all proud, saying that his daughter's popping out Jewish kids and Jewish this, and he had the big some kind of thing on his wall, plaque from the Kabbalah. One of the high things, he was all proud about that.
Well, I mean, I got things from the Kabbalah in my house too, but
no, but so he's not Christian.
Here's the thing, like, I want to preface while you're saying that, because there's going to be people who take this out of context. Be like, what did she say?
Of course.
Because we live in a triggered society so easily. When you said that, you didn't mean that like, oh my God, he's Jewish, he's bad.
No,
it's just
the point that he's not Christian, like he's saying. He was just trying to get the Christian votes at the time, so that's why he showed up at church with the Bible. You could tell he wasn't praying. It was like ridiculous,
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's very much he sees that the most unified group that opposes the other side, the China side, the authoritarian side, the whatever side you think it is that is not for American policies, happens to be the Christian religious right. He sees that. This is where the left gets him, in a way, because appropriately or not, a lot of the most idiotic people that we don't like belong to that group, because they would crucify us as quick as they could if they could. They are the ones that are not. They're not open-minded, they're not tolerant, they're not this, and they're Bible thumping, they hate people like Fleshy, they hate people like us, they hate, even though they preach love in the pulpit all the time.
Right.
And that is one thing they get him on that is unfortunate, because it's a game, like it's a strategy game for them. They don't believe anything. You've got everybody listening, pull your head out of your ass if you think that Trump believes this and that and 6 other things. This is, or Biden or anybody. They're not there because they believe in some cause, okay? The Orange Man is and was a major player in their society. He was, so to put it in perspective, if you think like Biden's in control, he's like 10 levels down from what control looks like. He's a PR guy, that's it.
Yeah.
He's a broker, a PR guy and a broker, that's it. Then you have your higher levels, you got your Soroses and stuff. They look like they're the pinnacle. They're not even close, I don't think. I think they're like level 3, level 2 tops.
Yeah, I agree.
Trump is around level 4, 5, 6. So he's in the upper echelon of that pyramid, the pinnacle of the pyramid. So he's not a PR broker. He's an owner. He's one of the plantation owners. He's not the driver of the slaves. He's one of the owners. And he wants a different vision. He's a made man. This is why he's not dead yet. He's a made man. He helped make that whole thing. His uncle, look this up. Everybody who trusts me, look this up. Fleshy 2, if you want, if you don't know this already. Look up who took Tesla's secret stuff.
Yeah.
Look up
Uncle John.
Look at Donald Trump's family and look at who took Tesla's final documents and data and all of his stuff in the missing briefcases, the missing suitcases.
And what did they do?
That wasn't the
Tesla,
Bushes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all that super technology that he was developing went into the hands not of the Serbians, not of the Russians, not of the Germans. It went into the hands of the U.S. government through the Trumps.
Not only did they take it, they waited in the room next door and waited for him to die to take it.
They were probably running him at the time. He probably made a deal with them for his life. And he's probably, like, when he was living in the New Yorker for those years, he was probably developing some crazy shit made out of the building, literally. You know, so people are getting rowdy apparently. He says, Wyatt Coverdale says, you might want to slow down with the political discussion, mate. People are starting to good, let them get rowdy. We don't talk about this much. So,
you know, like, because I'm planning on doing a cult roundtable too, and you know, and there's no way around it, you know, because the spirituality and the cult and what's going on in the world right now, it's all together. Like, there's no other topics really. You know, we all studied, we all done everything to get to this place right now, and now is when we need to use our knowledge and you know, stand up. This is it. We're the army.
You know, here's the thing. If you've got this much of a taboo in your mind that you can't face what we're saying, whether you agree with it or not, if it pisses you off that much that I don't want to live under the boot of a globalist system, okay, how can you call yourself, you know, whatever? Here's the thing I'm saying though. I will live under that system. I will survive whatever system comes until it's my time to go. But I get to have a vote in where we go, don't I? If this is really your pipe dream of democratic socialism, don't I get a vote in this, or should I just shut up and sit the fuck down? If that's your attitude, then you're not living up to your own ideals. So ball up and listen to what's being said, because it might be the only thing that wakes you up in 10 years if I'm right. Because I didn't believe it either 15 or 20 years ago. Here's the thing you don't understand. I didn't wake up one day because I watched Alex Jones and I thought it was cool. I had people telling me things in the 80s, in the 90s, and then when it started to happen, and I would say to them, oh, there's no way that they would listen to you on your TV. That's ridiculous that you think, what are you, paranoid? What are you, one of those survival nuts? When are you going to go move into the mountains and own guns? You stupid right-wing Christian. Look at us now. Everything that they told me has happened.
Yeah.
So at what point do I stop saying, I better not say that because I'll sound crazy? And at what point do I listen to my own fucking channelings and my own demons telling me what's coming? You don't like it? Tough fucking shit.
Well, that's the thing.
And I'm sure that's not everybody.
That blows me away in this community is if you are actually in touch with spirit, how is it that you're not awake to this? Like, what spirits are you talking to? You're not talking to, you know, like that, and that blows me away. And that shows me that maybe they're not as tapped in as they say that they are, because
the most tapped in people know what's coming, but they're relaxing into it.
Well, we have to relax into it now. Like, I was resistant. Like a year and a half ago when this started, I saw it right away. I didn't know how they were going to go about this, but when that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, this is. And I told everything that I've said. Every step of the way has come true. It's like, why is it that I can see it and other people can't? Like, I just don't get it. But, you know, and then when I'm saying it, why isn't, you know, 2 months later it happens? Why aren't you listening? Why are you paying attention? Why are you getting triggered by it now all of a sudden? Now you're getting triggered because I was right. It's like you can't win for losing in this now. And so now it's just gotten to the place where people are choosing to be asleep. And honestly, I can't say I blame them at this point.
No, I can't blame them.
Because if I wasn't awake yet, now I would be like, la, nope, that's not happening. I'm
with the last year we've had,
concert, that's it.
It's just like 9/11. With the last year we had, the truth is so fucking horrible that to even entertain it will give you nightmares if you don't know that it's possible.
Actually divulge the actual truth of what's going on, because mankind will go absolutely insane.
Yep.
If I did. So.
It's literally Lovecraftian level cosmic horror when you realize what's really happening, or like one level. Yeah, go ahead, sweetie.
If you woke up 10 years ago, you would have just lost sleep. Now, if you wake up.
Yeah, you go completely crazy.
Like I've always had because I've worked in healthcare and special needs and all of that, and I've had some time with this, and I've always had the notion that mental illness is very close to spirituality,
to wisdom.
Like these clients, like there's something else going on here, like with this schizophrenia and some of the mental illness. Like there's definitely influences from the other side here,
Wyatt just asked a really important question, and it's one that we're kind of beating around the bush. He says, D.H. Thorne, the only way off this train seems to be going off rails and crashing. What do we do? Is there something that we can actually do, or is this an impossibility? How do we...
Yes, there is lots of things we can do. I mean, first of all, let's start preparing for it. We know the second wave of the bullshit is coming, right? We all know that. It's already in the numbers. They're already talking about some variants and this and that. It's just another variant of bullshit that's coming. There's few more coming too. It's not just one more. My aunt is also psychic. She's seen 5 waves of this bullshit coming, okay? So you need to be prepared, not to be scared. It's just, okay, this is what's happening. It's kind of like, if you're in the schoolyard and you realize, they're all gathering, it's time.
Well, there's no downside to being prepared, right, Nina? I mean, even if we're wrong about what's coming next, you're never wrong for being prepared. You're never wrong.
Yeah, so stock up on the food and the water. If you need medications, get at least 6 months of that. Just get things. And then, if we are wrong, okay, great. Then the food bank will get all that food later then, or whatever, well,
use it when you lose your job. People lose their jobs all the time. There's always reasons to use stuff, so
right.
But here's the other thing, sometimes the fear is the weapon too. If we think there's going to be another wave, guess what we look like when it doesn't happen? And this is why I'm cautious about things, because they know what we know and we know what they know. And it's like playing a game of rock, paper, scissors, but you can kind of guess what they're going to do.
Yeah.
If we all go out of our way, this is one of the reasons why I don't prophecy openly. Because if I'm wrong, I look like an idiot, because I'm not going to be right every time. And if I'm right, people are going to start coming to me like I'm a messiah, and I don't want that either, because then I might lead you off a cliff because I might be getting misled. So I can tell you the big picture. I'm not going to tell you when the lights are going to go out, because they might not. The fear of the lights going out is a way that they manipulate us too. If you're scared and you're angry, which I've been, quite honestly, for the last 6 months, I've been really in that place of weakness that I don't like to admit to. But there's one reason why I have been turning off certain spiritual light bulbs for a little while, because I'm conserving energy and trying to find myself again, because it threw me for such a hard loop, because I sort of had a kind of prediction in my head, and it may still work out that way, but it's going to be the long hard way if it does. So now I'm really realizing that when I open those gates, the shadow of Legion, which is the collective shadow of collective unconscious ignorance, was unleashed. Those who are going to wake up will very soon, and those who won't. And everything that I prophesied as a child. Now here's the thing, I did a video that's going up really soon about the nature of why prophecies aren't literal, or why they are often done in vague, cryptic sounding things. And sometimes, to the credit of the skeptic, a lot of the times there's charlatans who will just be vague because they know that way they can take credit when they're right. I don't take credit unless I'm right. We'll put it like that. Like, look at my Marbus video. I wasn't really wrong about any of that, although some of it was a little questionable at first. I understood what some of those things meant later. But I wasn't wrong about that. That channeling, to anybody who's sensitive to these things, you watch that video, you go, that's a legit fucking person connected to the spirit world, because that one, you see me get hit, the fireball shoots up. I can't do that. I don't have a button with fucking like fuel injectors. That was insane. And the stuff I said all came to pass, and it was barely a blip on anybody's radar. People were calling me crazy for being worried about it. When I'm saying that, do you see what's happening? Do you see what's coming? Oh, it's going to be nothing. You're just a stupid Republican, because it was the Republicans at the time that were worried about it. You go back to January of 2020, who were the ones sounding the alarm? And then by the time of summer 2020, they completely flipped and said it's a nothing burger. This is cognitive dissonance meant to fuck your brain up. And when you're fucked up, you don't make good decisions. When you don't make good decisions, they rule you because they can just boop whatever they want you to do. I'm telling you as a salesman, one of the things a good salesman can do is they will get you confused so that then they can tell you what you want.
Right.
But they do this with fear, with paranoia and anger, and we're all susceptible to it. Even the blackest magician is. You're either going to be a little ignorant or a little scared right now. You're either going in your hole and saying, I don't want to know, or you're going,
That's most people, I think, are, and I can't say I blame them. But the thing is, you know, when they're doing their things, they always have a drill first. If you look back, you know, 9/11, they had a drill just days before about that exact thing, right? Sure enough, it happened. And all of these things. Now, the last drill they had, though, was in July here, okay? So if we're going to go by what they've been doing in the past, it's trying to see what they're going to do in the future, just going to look at the drill. So this was the financial, whatever it is in Europe, the big guys over there, a drill about the internet going down, okay? And the buzz is that the Russian hackers are hacking our system, and they're going to get our secrets and all of this, so we're going to have to shut down the internet for whatever. That was the drill they were doing, and I keep hearing them saying dark winter, dark winter, dark winter over and over again in all of their speeches. So we can only assume then that that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to take the lights out, because that will be chaos and we'll all die within
Look,
years.
their motto is order out of chaos, so they're not looking to install pure chaos.
You got to remember, the young people nowadays, they don't remember a time without the cell phone. They don't remember. They wouldn't even know how to use the rotary dial. Okay, I've seen the videos.
Some of them wouldn't.
Hilarious. Okay,
Yeah.
I do remember that. So I have a home phone now. I got a home phone just because of that. You know, the cell phone goes down, the internet goes down. Well, I still got my old, you know, private line too. You know, going here so that I have that. But again, being prepared. So be prepared for that. So, which you should anyways. What if, like, I live on the West Coast, it could be an earthquake here, there could be all kinds of things. So visualize a few weeks, few months without internet. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, I got a shit ton of books. That's why I buy a lot of books. I don't read them, but I have them here, including yours. Actually, I haven't even read it yet. But I will once I'm sitting there with no internet, because I got nothing else to do, you know. And just things to entertain yourself. And then, you know, what if we do go without power? Okay, so have some lanterns, have some flashlights, have some things. Pretend you're camping. You know, just have some, make it fun. Like, try to just prepare for everything. That way, if it does happen, fine.
I mean, within reason. I mean, within reason. I mean, there's things you're not going to survive, obviously. But, you know, here's the thing. I want to shift a little bit towards things that maybe Flesh Priest won't be like, I need to make 5 more cups of coffee for. He's gonna hit me now.
You're not wrong.
So here's the thing, okay? One of the big things, when I was a kid, I'm gonna tell you a couple little stories real quick. Some of you may know that when I was in my teens, my whole journey into being aware of my magical gifts began in my early teens. I was around 13. I think it was 13. So I was 12 or 13. I always forget the exact year. And it happened by way of a ritual that I had done as a prank. So me and a theater major friend of mine were doing a ritual as a prank to scare a mutual friend. We invited them over. We set up a fake ass ritual we made a pentagram with masking tape on the floor, you know, the not the clear tape, but the white tape. We took our Necronomicon and we read as much as we felt like reading to design a ritual around it. And we performed, I think, the calling of the Watcher. Okay. And we were wearing fake ass robes, and we were there in the dark of his computer room, and, you know, candles on the corners of the pentagram, the whole fucking works. We almost caught on fire because my fucking thing, you know, blew around in it. And we got carried away. What other people, what a skeptic would call carried away. Because at some point during that, we got the willies. We got creeped out. And I felt like something was watching us. I felt like right outside the circle, something was there. And everyone was scared because we all saw the horror movies. Don't go outside the circle, blah, 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 blah. So what do, being the fucking tough guy that I am? I go outside the circle. And I touch the cold spot that I found. I'm like, there's a fucking cold spot. I feel like I'm standing in a pool with a cold spot. What the fuck is this? And I start I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I gotta find this. So I opened up the door to the computer room where we were, into the rest of the basement, and it just felt like another world opened up, and I go out there and it's dark because we turn the lights out all over the house. And I go into the next room and I'm following this cold spot, and then all the hair on my body stands up. Now this is important because April and I are going to be talking about, Camilla and I are going to be talking about something from last night in a minute. This cold spot hits and all the hair on my body stands up, and I'm like, holy shit, I got the freaking real willies. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I run back to the circle like I didn't know I'd believe this, but I believe it now. It was a joke at first, but I believe it now. And I'm telling them what I felt and what I saw, and we all bugged the hell out. And then the next thing I know, I'm looking at the ceiling, and then I black out as far as I know. The next thing I remember was the next day. I don't remember hardly anything of that the rest of that night, just little blips and blurbs here and there. When I woke up the next day, I was in my bed and I'm like, what the fuck happened? I remembered like, I can't say I remembered zero, but I remembered very little. I remembered, like, you know, just coming in and out of, I think I had dinner and I went to bed, and I don't remember much in between. I remember we kind of like closed up what we were doing and everybody was looking at me funny, and it was really weird. I woke up the next day, and my friend told me that the other guy probably wouldn't talk to me for a while because he was fucking scared out of his mind. That I had fallen over, but not in a normal way. I had fallen over in a way that shouldn't be possible, where I was leaning at like a 45-degree angle, but I wasn't hitting the floor. And they were trying to hold me up, and then they felt things pulling on me and tugging on me. What proceeded to come out next was a channeling of a spirit that was a female spirit that told this story of what's really going to happen. The beginning of it. It told us the story. It said, I am not actually an angel, but I will use terminology that you will understand. You can call me an angel. And there was a war in heaven. It didn't really happen that way, but here it explained that this is the mythology that you'll understand. The end times are coming in your lifetime, as they call it. And what fell out of me was this sort of prophecy that was some kind of weird mixture of stuff that obviously was biblical, but then it took on dimensions that I had no understanding of, using words that I wouldn't have known or cared to know at the time. Not language, I mean like ideas, like completely stuff that's like, you know, would be nonsensical to a kid at that age. So based on that, and what became sometimes multiple times a week channeling using hypnosis. This is why I'm probably a really good medium, because I've been doing it so long, sort of like as a parlor trick at first, because it was kind of like, oh yeah, watch Thorne get possessed. We're going to hypnotize him and the demon's going to come out. And very often it would. And this went on for years until a cult formed, a literal cult, like an end of the world, we're going to fight the monsters, like, you know, the movie It or The Stand. Like we were like that, we thought. Eventually, if those of you who read Shadownomicon, you know where I'm going with this, it turns out that they had to do with the shadow people. But pretty much everything that was said in like a fantasy context. It was, the gates are going to open, the demons are going to come out, but you and a handful of people could be the survivors. We will show you where to take sanctuary, And once the initial wave is over, you'll be able to build up your strength, come out, and win in the end. And of course, just lots of, again, this took years. I couldn't remember all the details because it was over years, if that makes sense, because it morphs and changes, but I remember the gist of it. And it was over 20 years ago on top of that. So this, and I have people who will come, potentially even come on video and talk all about it. So this stuff is not stuff, again, that I just saw something on TV once that spooked me. It's not, oh, I watched too much sci-fi and believed it. Oh, it's too many fucking coincidences, synchronicities happen. And you realize that the story that I told, while it was told in a language of myth and fantasy and angels and falling stars and all of that stuff, if you extrapolate the mythology and you look at what I said through the symbolic lenses, every single thing so far has come true up to the part where I take sanctuary. And for the last several years, I feel like I've been in a bubble, a virtual bubble, where all my friends are far away from me and I have very few real life friends. And I haven't poked my head up out of that bubble, so I'm still in the sanctuary part of the story. I don't know when the building up strength and fighting back is, and I don't even know what that's going to mean. I don't think that means literally like we take up arms and defend our... I think what it's going to be, it's a spiritual battle from here on. It's an intellectual, spiritual battle from here on. And it's going to hurt.
On that. My aunt agrees, and she's not awake at all, that no, people are going to be turning against each other. It's going to get real nasty out there. The whole us and them mentality is going to get a lot worse than it is now. And she's already on. So no, you're going to have to be away from people. Like, you know, the way that I see it, you have to be out of the city.
Yeah.
Those are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I refuse to let fear rule my behavior, but I will say that kind of stuff was said a lot. So you're not wrong in that was predicted by them. The whole get out of the cities thing is a very common thing to be said, but that came out of me many times. And I don't know, man. Like, so this is where I'm going to say, but there was hope. The hope was that in the end, freedom or survival wins. I don't know exactly how to put it. And it's important that we look at this through the metaphorical lens and say, well, what does that even mean to win? We are in the age of the Great Awakening. That is irrefutable to me. And this Great Awakening, though, doesn't mean everybody suddenly figures it out and we win some kind of prize where we inherit the earth and it's all wonderful and peaceful. The Great Awakening means that you just become aware. That's all it means. Being aware doesn't mean you win.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people in the spiritual community, you know, the word ascension, that's another psyop that got in there. They're actually thinking that, oh, we're going to send up like some rapture from the Bible. No, that's not what is going to happen. So that a lot of people are misguided. And also thing I just want to say too, that for those who don't know, angel means messenger.
Yep.
So it's just another word for messenger. Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I do want to move off this topic now that I think we've covered most of it. But I want you guys to understand, if I was just somebody who was biased because of political views, you have to understand how I flip-flopped on my politics over the 40 some odd years of my life. I have voted for both sides of every party. I have this and that. What I've learned over time, and I'm not saying that there's no like fossil record in me where occasionally I will, you know, lean one way or the other, but I have learned the hard way to philosophical and spiritual ideas first, to look at everything through the lens of, here is what I think is right, and this is what they're doing. Not what does party A say and how can I support that. Stop being on a tribe. The tribe is killing you.
I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't voted in years. I couldn't care less about the politics and especially the American politics. But yeah, I mean, you know, you sit back and you watch and you listen. But yeah, no, you know, the whole, you know, it's all like the right and the left. You got the blue and the red. I mean, if you go and look, even in the pop, You got Coke and Pepsi. They're always throwing this blue and red and us and them in our face everywhere. It's, you know, once you wake up to that and you start noticing, it's like, oh my God, like, yeah.
These types of the political arguments feel a lot to me like the fucking dads who argue over football on the weekends. It's just with politics, it's like they have a fantasy of wearing a tie.
Here's the thing, though. Once upon a time, it was a sign of maturity to take a role in the way your country and community was going.
Right.
It was a sign of your maturity to have an opinion, and you also have to remember the politics were local back then. They weren't national like they are now. So that's another way they're fucking your head up. Is right now, you should be really more concerned about who your mayor is, who your representatives are. Not the president, not the Senate in Washington, D.C. They want you focused on the federal so that they can slither in locally and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they do. And they do it very effectively. But if you paid more attention to your local, you would be doing a lot better. But it's very hard to. But that's why, you know, back in the beginning of America anyway, it was about your local community. You were supposed to go and vote in person and all these other things. It was meant to be, you had a personal stake in the decisions being made. But now, anybody who's politically motivated right now watching this show, do you even know who your fucking mayor is? Do you have a fucking opinion at all about your town except that it probably sucks? No, you probably don't. Like 9 out of 10 of you probably don't. And I don't blame you. They don't make it easy. They want you scared of who the president is. That's what they want you looking at. They're going, here, look at these keys. Don't look at the fact that I'm taking everything out of your back pocket. And they're doing the tribal thing on you. They want you stupid. And it's working perfectly. Perfectly.
Well, they gave us that boob tube, right? And they call it programming for a reason, okay? They're literally programming your mind to as of how you're going to think and how you feel and what you want, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah,
so
and it's always the choices of red and blue, but they don't remember that it's the same owners. It doesn't matter if you have Coke or Pepsi. It doesn't matter if you want it. It's the same.
Still a franchise.
thing.
It's still a franchise. So let's shift this more towards the positive side. What can we do as individuals to either change this or immunize ourselves from the worst of it? How can we, as individuals and as a group? The first thing I want to say is what I said to Fleshy before this show started, because I know this makes him uncomfortable, and I know that there's certain things that he's oppositional about to my thinking. Not necessarily everything. I think ultimately he wants the same good things that we all want in life. I'm not saying that. Like, he's not looking at me like, oh, you Nazi, go burn. No, he's not like that.
I just look at all of you and wonder, why are you in these flesh suits? You need to upgrade to the animatronics. We all need to be robots, and you are
Very
all
soon, my
for
friend.
not.
Very soon.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, no,
there's
most of you will
another
never be
agenda,
given that. Most of you will never be given that. The thing that's going to be for is the people who are willing to be total slaves to the system, because they're never going to give Flesh Priest and Thorne and Nina a Terminator suit that we can go and be free in. No, if you get that at all, there's going to be, but we can shut you off if you dare think this thought.
That's the thing about what they're doing. It's like, say, the chip thing, okay? Let's just go there for a second. I mean, you know, there's good and evil in everything. And yes, there's going to be huge conveniences by having that, whether it's a tattoo or a chip, whatever. I mean, you no longer need a debit card or a credit card. You don't need a passport. All your medical assistance, everything is in there. But the thing is, if you look up social credit score, that's also going to be in there. And
it's already here now with the PayPal thing with what they're starting to do
right now. But if you just go look at China, and you can kind of see where we're going in 5 years from now, okay? And what that means, people, is that if you jaywalk, there's going to be camera. There already is cameras, but there's going to be a lot more cameras, okay? Plus, you're going to have the thing on. If you jaywalk, well, there's some points taken off there. If you're late for work, guess what? Points are taken off. If your wife calls on you on the police, well, that's major points taken off. To the point where you can't go flying then if you don't have a certain amount of points. You can't access to, you know, the ball games and whatever else that you want to go to unless you have a certain amount of points. Okay, so they're going to have complete control over you, and as far as they're concerned, controlling us, right? So that we'll be good little citizens, and we're going to lose all our freedoms, and that's the problem here.
I mean, I think that they'll do it in a way that's nuanced and long-term enough that I think we're going to look like crackpots until, like, my kids are our age and be like, wow, they were completely right.
My kids are already starting. They're, like, watching some stuff on TV, and I was like, oh, my God, my mom was just talking about that. Like, so some of the things that I talked about a few years ago, they're starting to see it now because they predictive program everything that's on there. So that, their little dealio is that they have to tell us ahead of time. That way they have consent, they figure. So they're showing things on, on your programming, right? Some of it is, made up, and some of it is not going to come true. But a lot of it is in there. So
I'm going to point out something really quick. I'm reading the chat, and Wyatt says, D.H. Thorne, to any anti-vaxxer who believes that there are tracking chips in the vaccine, stop ruining our medicine. I'm sure they weren't doing it before, but thanks for giving it. So what I want to say to that is, everybody read that comment and tell me if you see the programming that's been put into his head. Read that comment. Whether you think he's right or wrong, tell me if you see the programming that's in that comment. And I love the kid to death, but read that comment and ask yourself the programming that is in there, the presumptions that are placed into that comment, the us versus them. He might have been saying it to just make a rise. That's fine. I'm not judging him. I'm judging the comment. Read that comment and ask yourself, was that an Agent Smith that just appeared in our midst? That's an Agent Smith comment, because that is a programmed response to people who are disliking something that the system wants you to be a slave to. It's a not nuanced question. I have absolutely nothing against technology, vaccines or otherwise.
Yeah, this time.
I grew up reading science fiction where they said it's going to be great when we have cell phones, but won't it be bad if they track us with them? And you know what? They weren't wrong to ask that question, because they do.
We do it willingly with the facial recognition thing. What do you think that's all about? Do you think they're just doing this to be good, to do something good here? No, it's all an agenda. Everything that they're doing. But people don't realize that, because yes, it can be used for good. Yes, it's fun to do selfies and text each other. Sure it is. But they're not seeing all the other stuff that's behind it, unfortunately, and that's the problem, right? So we're already plugged into the machine by our phones. Like, I purposely turn my phone off. It's way over there. It's off. I don't want it ringing. I don't want to hear any notifications. I'll go and check it whenever I want to. I hate that people feel that they should be able to reach you just like that right now. If you don't answer right now, they're gonna get mad at you or whatever. I don't like that, so I just completely turn it off.
I'm actually there with you, and I'm not saying this like ironically, or I take all my I give all my priority to messages sent by smoke signals and carrier pigeons. Like, no, I'm absolutely with you. I think people are, oh god, I feel like a fucking boomer. Just
it's gotten out of hand. It was great, because I remember when it first came in, and it was wonderful getting emails and cell phones and all of this. It was, but now it's like that phone. The only thing that I don't use it for, pretty much, is phone calling. Nobody phones anymore. There's no more sitting and talking with your friend anymore now.
And I hate talking to people, to be honest, unless it's somebody that I really want to talk to. And I need it to be a video conference now, because I can't stand not seeing their face, because I've become dependent on reading people now, because I don't trust people like I used to. I need to be able to read your body. I mean, I can read you pretty good just by text, but if I can see your face and read your body, I can read you like a book, and I know whether you like me or not, and you're lying to me and all that. But here's
huge communication failure right there. And like most, I hate to say it, but most men are really bad at communication. And then when you add the texting thing in there, like, it's impossible. People are putting down things that they think sounds funny in your head, but it doesn't come out that way. And it's there's a lot of. I'm sure Camila can. Agree.
So I want to finish up one thing I was saying, though, is I think one of the first parts of the answer is this: there are people who mean you existential harm by your beliefs. They do.
Yeah.
So you need to identify the people who don't,
Right.
first of all, that just disagree. So there's a lot of people that I welcome and love in my community who disagree with me all day long about everything I'm saying you, or most of it, or something.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for the people, so this is what I said to Fleshy, who we agree on a lot, we disagree on a lot, but what I said to him, and I meant it, was, I love you. You're probably my best friend that I have, other than, like, you know, people that might be a little longer, but you're like right up there. Like, you're in the top 3 people in my life. And it's one of those things where I know that, at least I like to think anyway, that if all hell broke loose, or didn't break loose, but we just said fuck it, if I went and bought a cabin in the woods and there was a shack he could crash in, he could come, or vice versa. And not only that, but he would be right there with me going, fuck these cities, man. I want to go for the pizza once in a while, but I want to hide out here and just watch it burn.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
You know,
Yeah,
he's not
gonna be
addicted
nuts.
to he's not addicted to the system. He's willing to throw it away if it comes to it.
Yeah.
I know he is.
And
Just by what he does.
Those are going to survive this. Okay, so if you're hell bent on doing everything the government tells you, staying in the city, you know, it's not going to be good. Okay, so those who are strong enough to live off, that's the thing. You're gonna have to go back to the way it was. No more, you know, living off grid and being able to do that, growing vegetables, hunting, fishing, all of these basic skills that used to be a normal thing. This generation now don't know how to do it. They don't know how to take
What it really boils down to, it's not just about those skills, although those might be important or not. It's about self-reliance is what we're talking about.
So you're not
Being
relying
less
on
dependent upon the state, the government, the people, the town, etc. And I want to point out what something 999 just said, because the Vax comments are raging a little bit. And in a good way. I'm glad you're talking. Just be nice to each other. That's all I'm going to ask. You can disagree all fucking day long, but respect each other for a little bit. But don't be afraid to say and understand. So he says, I don't think it's dumb to be concerned about unknown long-term effects. Correct. Most people who don't want the jibby jab aren't worried about chips. Correct. That's only the most extreme example that is used to divide us. Absolutely. But here's what they don't want you talking about. And before I get into that really even more, I want to say that you can even see that what he just said, or she, 999, is countering the Agent Smith attempt to bracket in an NLP way the argument into false paradigms. It is this person, whether Wyatt meant it or not, was reciting the most ridiculous example. It's kind of like when I say that, when I start talking about this and you get a complete normie say, oh, you're just a flat earther. What? Well, yeah, you believe we didn't land on the moon, don't you? Because you don't trust the government. What? So this is what the Agent Smiths do. They seed your mind so that you associate people who don't agree with the system's design. Or at least, look, if you're not questioning even the good ideas, you're fucking stupid. You're stupid as fuck. If they come handing you the greatest,
indoctrinated, right? 12 years
yes,
of indoctrination at school, where they basically are just programming you as a young child, right? So I mean,
you should never trust anything that is in control of this. The feet should always be held to the fire. Are you telling me the truth right now? Because anybody who wants power over you wants it for a wrong reason. Read Plato's Republic and wake the fuck up about power. People don't want to have power to save you, ever.
No.
Even the ones who say what you want to hear, like the Orange Man, or even Ron Paul, who I loved, I would still be like, what are you saying there, buddy? Make sure you're saying what I want. Make sure you're doing it, because if you trust these people to have your best interest in mind, you are a fool. A fucking fool. And I'm not going to take that back on anybody.
The one thing that you should do is always look for the money. Where is the money trail? Okay?
Hold on. What were you going to say, Fleshy?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. There's a quote that I find relevant to this that I really think is important for people, and I'm going to butcher it a little bit here, but it's the mantle of responsibility is not a privilege, but actually what it should be is a great responsibility.
It should be a burden.
Exactly.
It is a burden.
It should be a burden. You know, as much as people go, oh, Thorne, you just want to be popular and own a community. So you can, do you know how much of a burden it is to wake up every day and see the snarky shit that I have to look at and try to administer the things I've got to admit? It's not like the end of my life or anything. It's not horrible, but it's a burden to me because I'm under pressure to make sure my community is stable, that I have the best people at my disposal, and I'm not even doing that big a thing. I just have a fucking Discord community that I delegate to people to manage a lot of it. But I've got a lot of I got a lot of stuff, and I sit there going, holy crap, I can only imagine if I was leading like an order, I wouldn't have any time to do magic or anything for myself. I'd be constantly administering everything. Leadership is a fucking burden, as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a burden because you're not there for yourself. You're there to benefit the tribe. That's the whole reason the chieftain was given the biggest hut. It wasn't because he needed it because he had a giant dick. It was because, holy fuck, he had to have the room to put all the ideas. You know, I don't know. I'm speaking out of my ass.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
I want to jump in really quick just because this comment is too fucking funny. Why it says, DH, behold, a new shadow being who's associated with political problems, the Orange Man.
Yeah, you know, that's Legion though. Legion is absolutely the shadow of political shit. The big if you want to talk about an individual, that's Ronzael. So Ronzael is the Machiavellian. I'm going to take charge using whatever means, and I'm going to be good at it. And because I desire power and influence and blah 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 blah. That's also the shadow that's the most influence in my personal being. I'm not afraid to tell you that because I've integrated it well enough that I've put checks and balances in my own mind. I have people like Fleshy who disagree with me about certain things, and I've told, if you see me getting cultish, let me know, because I'm trying to avoid any of that while allowing the strength of that Machiavellian side forward so that I can do what I need to do to move my brand and my this and help people and do all this and move it forward. If I don't embrace that, so it's like being afraid because guns kill people, you won't touch them. No, you got to be able to use them to defend yourself.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You got to integrate that fear. So back to 999's comment, you notice the things that are being said, but is anybody talking about bodily autonomy? That's really the question. Do you have a right to decide what is done to your body or not? Irrelevant of anything else. And at what point do you lose that autonomy? Like, how bad does the disaster have to be before someone could make an argument that you lose that? Like, how dangerous must you be? So I believe there's a threshold. I think that there comes a point where you are either so infectious or you're psychotic or whatever that you're not safe to the general public. So therefore you must be somehow handled, hopefully in a humane way, whether it's just helping you, putting you in a box,
that's what they're doing right now. They're just instilling the fear into people, that they're saying that, you know, even if you've had their medicine twice even, you can still spread it. So they're still saying, you know, that, oh, well, you know, you still have to wear the diaper on your face now, and you still have to, you know, there's certain places that are back into that again now because the numbers are growing, of course. And then once we get into the real flu season, obviously numbers are going to go up. People get flus, you know, every year. It's just, you know, and then they're going to turn their heads, because the propagandists are going to turn their hands against those of us who haven't had the medicine. You know, it's all our fault that we're back into it again now. It's all our fault that whatever else is going to be happening, right? And that's where the whole mob mentality is going to happen. Everybody's going to be against, it's us against them. And it's
because if there is anything wrong with this medicine, we won't know for 20 years.
Yeah, we won't know.
Really.
That's exactly true, right? And I don't know about, you know, chips and stuff like that in the medicine. That is a little. See, this is where the psyops come in.
I know that there isn't. I mean, I know from my own divinations, the medicine is pretty much, you know, as safe as one can be. That's been less tested than others. It's really the reason that they do these things is they want to put egg on the face of everybody who's right now fighting the fight.
Right.
Because just like Wyatt was saying, oh, you're afraid of the chips. You're making technology take a step backwards.
When I said chips, I'm not talking about chips in the medicine. I'm talking about an actual chip. They already started this in Scandinavia. They're very proud to be one of the first to start this. So this chip is going to hold all your information. Just a grain of rice goes right inside your hand here. You know, you won't even notice it, but it's going to unlock your doors. So your front door, your office, all of that. So you don't need keys. You won't need a wallet
The
anymore.
first wave is always safe and wonderful and convenient, and that's what's going to happen with
It
this.
sounds wonderful, and it is. It's going to be hugely convenient for all of us to do this, right? We don't have cards anymore, and so this virus is part of that, because now all of a sudden, cash is bad. We got virus on that, and also credit cards. Then, that's going to be bad too, right? So you can see how they're using this so they can get that, okay? And that.
Now this is a long-term plan. This isn't next year, so you're going to be listening to this and go, "Oh, they sound like crackpots."
Being groomed now over the next 5 years, right, or whatever it is. Yeah. So, and we're all going to be in agreement with it, because they're going to make it sound like it's so bad if we don't, right? So they have their agenda, and they're using this to get their agenda out. And the bottom line is that when you have this chip in you, though, so say we have this, and I've seen this in movies, so they're already kind of pre-programming us that this is going to be a normal thing. The thing is, they probably also have a control on it. I don't know if they're going to go as far as having cyanide in there so they can just turn you off whenever they want to, but it could be. They could do that. It would be a great way to control criminals and stuff. So instead of, having them in jail, we'll just have that. And if you breach,
again, that's like 60 years away, only
so
because
it's
people
thing that it could be used for. But so it sounds wonderful. It could take away some of the policing. It could, a lot of ways that it could be good. Okay, everything can be used for good or bad. The bottom line is, though, that we're going to lose our privacy. Okay, so they're tracking you. They're tracking your pulse. They know exactly if you're sick or not, which is great if you're an elderly person and you're worried about being alone and being sick. That's great. But for the other person who wants to keep their privacy, they'll know when you're having sex. They can tell on your, And
they already know. They already know all of this stuff. To be really honest with you, I was seeing some comments today from people talking about how your phone has facial recognition. They're all upset about it, and I get it.
Yeah.
And there's one guy saying that, they only use it for commercial purposes. And I go, you know what the problem with what you just said is? You said only. You said only. That's the problem.
It was only 2 weeks, a year and a half ago, remember?
And I will agree that 99.9% of you will never encounter a...
Okay, that's exactly what's going on
that's
right
true
now.
too. Just the tip.
Will know what I'm talking about.
99% of you will never suffer any bad consequence. 99% of you will never be tracked in a way that you will care about, except it's maybe a little intrusive.
Until you do care.
Well, you won't, because I'm telling you, most people won't, because it's not really going to affect them the same way. But me, you, people who are influencers, people that have an audience, people like that, we stick up like a nail on a board. And what do you do with a nail sticking up on a board? You hammer it down. So to put this in perspective, for those who don't know, after 9/11, the NSA was created, and they have databases on all the metadata on everything they could ever want about what you think, say, and do, but they don't have the actual files.
And
they get around.
Let's go back to 9/11, okay? So apparently 5 guys with box cutters created that whole thing, okay? That's ridiculous right there. Now, flying, I know a lot of you, don't remember flying before 9/11. I do. Everything changed. They never took it away. So whatever implements they put in, even though the danger is gone now, we've never had an incident since, which also proves that that might be, because other people would be doing it too if that's how easy it was. They never took any of that away. All the security, now all of a sudden we have to have a whole scan thing, which isn't good for us, and all of that, just because of, so all of these things that they're putting in now, it's never going to go away. Okay, they're not going to take it away once it's over. Okay, no, it's just going to be something new, something more, and it's just building up. We're getting groomed over generations here. It has taken a few generations, and that's why they're doing it so slow, so we don't notice it as much. But some of us are noticing that, hey, this pot is really boiling. We better get out. This is not good.
Yeah.
So.
And this is where we are realizing, in our own paces, like I said, the ones that are really getting spiritual message are learning that we can't win this fight in the classical way, because it's not even a fight anymore. I have military friends that are in the Discord. They don't advertise that stuff. They know a lot of stuff, and they are like, Oh, we've known about this for a while. We know what's coming. We know why. We've been preparing, but we're hoping that we're like, fuck it, we'll be rats in a wall if they do all this. We're not, we'll play with the system. We don't care because they have a survival mentality and they're right. They're the ones who will make it.
Yeah.
Whether it's not about the guns, it's not about fighting back. It's about how do you survive when a hurricane comes, because that's what this is.
Exactly.
So you've got to find, at some point you got to let go. You've got to, you know, kind of like when you get in a root canal, you can fight the pain or you can just be like, yep, it fucking hurts. Just get it done.
Well, that's just it. This is the point that I've come to now. I've already prepared everything that I can possibly prepare. I got everything set up. Okay. So now, yeah, I just gotta sit back and relax and watch it play out. You know.
So let's move away from the what to a normal person sounds like paranoia. Because it does.
I'm gonna jump in really quick. Jay Sauber actually hit us with the super chat a while ago, and I forgot to find a window in there to sneak it in. So Jay Sauber, thank you for your patience and fucking thank you for your support. Always appreciate you, dude.
Thank you, Jay Sauber. And Lowland, if you knew about the microwave guns they use to clear out crowds, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And really quick, I know we're in the middle of transitioning to topic a little bit. We have been streaming for about 2 hours, and I have collected some questions here for us all to...
Let's do it.
Okay, do you want to jump into that now, or finish up thoughts?
I'm kind of... I mean, I'd kind of like to shift, though, because it is getting... the shadows are showing, we'll say, of... You know, as much as Nina and I are learning to integrate and let go, we're still bitter about it. And
I mean,
and so it's probably...
I'm going to be honest, I had things I wanted to add, but I don't want to backtrack now.
Oh, what were they? Go ahead,
no,
sweetie.
no, conspiracy shit. No, we're good. I don't like jumping in and interrupting.
Yeah.
Oh,
My only advice... Here's one thing I'll end on. Here's one thing I'll end on, okay? When you have a left-hand path, satanic, Luciferian motherfucker saying it's time for us to hug it out, you know it's bad. Let me say that again. Look at what I'm surrounded by. Look at my hobbies. I love murder, death, and macabre shit. And if I'm saying we gotta hug this shit out, those of us who are able to, you should be scared shitless.
Pay attention.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that lightly. There's a part of me that wants to go full Conan on this fucking thing. And just be, if I didn't have a wife and a kid, I would be learning how to stay off the grid, and I would be doing things that I don't even want to say outside of a fantasy even in a fantasy concept, I wouldn't even say. I mean, we're talking Snake Plissken, but bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I didn't have, so if I'm telling you, and Behemoth X said, raise your children right, love, you know, blah, 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 blah. When you have the supposed bad guys saying it's time to reach out with love, at least to the ones receptive to it. Don't love your enemy. Fuck them. I'm with fucking LeVay all the way on that. But when you have someone who just doesn't get it, but they're salvageable as a human being, even if they're going to be not agreeing with you the whole way, if they're not trying to destroy you right now, you don't have to convince them. You just have to maintain the humanity in them, because dehumanization is real right now. People aren't calling each other human beings. You're calling them Democrats, Republicans, vaxxers, anti-vaxxers. You're not looking at them like that's a human being. You're looking at them as they're a number and a category and a tribe. And that is like, I forget the number of steps, but it's like right before you get to genocide or civil war. We're right there.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke.
Too. I had Bill Duvendak on my channel there, and he's obviously looked at all the charts, and you know, it's in there too. It's in the stars. Okay, it's coming. You know, so take heed. You know, prepare and not be scared, but prepare, and you'll be fine. You know, so yeah, so enjoy the summer right now because everything is open. You know, go out there, have some fun, socialize, do all the things that you love to do, and then. But just prepare for the fall, you know, and then you won't be so, you know.
Find out who your friends and loved ones are and make sure that they know it. And don't be afraid to cut toxic people out right now. If you see people who are just posting endless shit about how they want to kill this group and that group, and you're an evil Trumper and you're an evil Bidener, and people who. Look, I just block people now.
Yeah, me
If
too.
I see it, like if I'm on Facebook and it's like there's never anything other than shit that's just hateful,
Yeah.
because they don't think they're being hateful most of the time. So I just block them.
And just a little recommendation from your boy Fleshy. Just delete Facebook. Fuck it. You don't need it.
If it wasn't for my business, yes, I would.
Our stuff, right? So that's
I mean, it's different, admittedly, for that.
But I don't,
when you're an influencer,
I
you're
don't
stuck.
engage in the drama. That's another thing, you know, that's been a hot topic in the community. Is all the drama. I avoid those posts. I'm sorry, I don't even, you know, I just don't engage in any of it. And I recommend that for everybody. Just stay out of the whole drama thing. You know.
Yeah, look at what 999 just said. He said, I heard they're calling anti-vax or COVID people plague rats. I mean, is that a humanizing term?
Right.
Is that what you'd like?
That's what I'm
like
saying.
you know?
They're building up the fear, right? And those who are asleep, they're gonna fall for it, and they're gonna look at. So a neighbor is gonna be against neighbors. Like that's not I'm worried about being here. I'm in an apartment building. If all my neighbors are all NPCs, which they are, they're gonna be looking at me that I'm the problem, right?
And to be fair, we just did it too. And to be fair, you and I would have just done the NPC comment. I mean, that's dehumanizing too. I mean, I agree with that one, but I also know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm aware of what that is.
Well, I mean, going back to what you were saying too. I mean, look at what happened during COVID. Oh, such and so is out with their friends gathering. Let me report them to the police.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they're rewarding you to be snitches now. They openly, right? It used to be snitches got stitches. Now they get prizes. Apparently, that's what they said.
Yep.
Yeah. So that alone, I mean, you gotta question this stuff. Like, doesn't seem right.
All right. So, does anybody else want to make a strong point or anything before we move on? Because I would like to get to questions now in a minute. Like whenever, like finish up.
That sounds like a transition.
I think DH and I are already done. If you guys have something,
I'm good.
Spirit X Diesel hit us with the super chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you, Spirit X.
So yeah, I'll get on to questions. This one came pretty early in the stream from Wyatt, and I do like this question because I think pretty much everybody who dips into this kind of path goes through something akin to this at some point. So he asked, I know that there is nothing wrong nor right in magic, but I'm asking for an opinion. Is it okay to become more cold? Knowing how non-existent things are from our knowledge, I'm not sure if I can feel much for anything here anymore. It's like everyone except for us is semi-conscious. It's hard to care for things that I don't feel in the first place. People call me narcissistic or a sociopath, and I can't tell if they're right or not.
Well, just asking the question means probably you're not. You wouldn't care, like, you know, and if you did ask the question, it was to be a smokescreen. So, to be brutally honest with you, you're a kid. And it's sad that but you're at the right age to start having nihilistic thoughts, to be honest. The edgy teenage thing is real. And I'm going to say that what you learn on the development scale of enlightenment, you do go through a period where you look at things and go, I don't know if this matters anymore then. But that's the baby step. You still don't get it yet when you're thinking that. When you hit the final level, it is, I love you all, but go ahead and kill yourselves. You don't lose your, you go back to love. You really do. But you look at it like, I love my hand, but if cancer's in it, I'm cutting it off.
It's called self-preservation.
It's a non-attachment.
It's called non-attachment.
Yeah, releasing toxicity.
So you're still attached. That's why you're cold, because you're still wounded from realizing. You have to realize, Wyatt, that you're every murderer and rapist and everyone else just like that, just as much as you're every saint and innocent victim. You're both sides of every engagement. And this is not meaningless. It is without meaning. Learn the difference. Without meaning isn't meaningless. It means that the meaning is open. It means that you are God And your lifetime is to decide what the meaning and purpose of this life is. And then when that's done, you get to do it again and again and again and again and again. There is no, it is not meaningless. Write that down. It's not meaningless. It is without meaning. It's the same thing as saying be non-attached rather than detached. Detached is unhealthy. Non-attached is healthy. They sound like the same word, but there is a difference, and it's a very important one. So anything you want to add to that, Nina?
No, I think that was pretty much covers that, I think. I can't remember what the question was now, so.
it admittedly
he says he
was a
feels
little bit of a
cold.
long one.
He feels cold because he
you
realizes
know what?
that...
It's funny that he said that, because I don't know if you guys watch Beyond the Veil, Chris Geo, but he's on the same lines as you and I, DH, and he's also spiritual, and he's been doing things with the Matrix and all of this kind of stuff. Anyways, he's saying the same thing, that he's just finding that everything is just so blah, like nothing tastes the same, or
No, it's true.
Like
No, that's true.
Numbed out of everything. So I don't know if that's a collective thing that's going on right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And actually, my wife and I found the cure last night, for us anyway. We actually, that sounds really kind of hot or something, but no, we actually, everything's been so virtual and shitty lately. And, you know, I have known for months and months and months and months, before even COVID, that this is like a tomb for me. Because growing up, I would spend most of my time, we would go to this place called Tower and Barnes and Noble out in the Walt Whitman Mall in Huntington, okay, in Long Island. And we'd go there, and we go there almost every night to meet up with random people that were friends that we knew of. We didn't necessarily have everybody's number. We just knew that people would show up there, and we'd meet there, and then we'd go and scatter and do cool shit. And this was right around the cult era, by the way, just so you know. So we would go there, and we would go on these adventures, and we would go to these places in our area that were like vacant lots, graveyards, haunted places, and we would just explore, do rituals, sit and talk, make a fire, have real quality time if you're a black magic type. And as we got older, those people grew up. And not only did they grow up, but those places got replaced with new condos and barbed wire fences, and we got more mature, so we didn't feel like cutting the fences like we used to do, and all of those kinds of things. And our world got smaller, 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 and now my world is about this big when I wake up.
I know. You know, when I was growing up, not only did we not have cell phones and stuff like that, but our parents didn't even know where we were. They didn't even care. You know, we came home when it got dark. You know, they didn't. You know, like the freedom got lost. So by the time I had my kids, we can't even let them cross the street. You know, never mind. I don't know what they do nowadays. It's like, yeah, it's like everybody's freedom and world closed in all of a sudden, just like that. One generation. You know.
And you're absolutely right. Except we tried to do the opposite with our kid. Except we did it like my mom did. Like, I want to know what time you're coming home, who you're going to be with, and where your main place will be. But then that's it. And if you got to change something, and that was until now he's 18. Now it's just like be home by 11. I don't care.
Just let us know if you're having dinner with us.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it turns. And he's really good about it because we trust him with it. But anyway, so my world's gotten smaller. My wife's world's gotten smaller. And I've been begging and I've been wanting to go out, but there's no place to go because we as adults, we get so structured in our plans that it's basically play dates for adults now. And everybody can relate to that who's over 20 something.
Yeah.
I have no idea
that's
what you're
toxic.
talking about.
And that is highly toxic now, especially with the online world, because it's so inconvenient to meet in person. So what do? We meet online and play video games for our play dates, and our world gets that much smaller until pretty soon. And I bet you a lot of you will relate to this, although some probably won't, but I bet a lot of you will relate to what I'm saying right now. So what happened last night was a couple weeks ago, my wife and I went out, and I'm not trying to take all credit and point some finger at my wife, but she'd probably admit it. It's been hard to get us to do these things because I don't want to just go alone because we're like tied at the hip at this point in our marriage. We're here for 18 years together. So neither one of us likes to just go out alone like we used to. Like, I don't want to go out unless she wants to go out most of the time. I'd probably be a little different. You know, it's getting easier as we've been married so long, but I'm just saying we're like tied at the hip. So we've had a hard time just doing stuff spontaneously. And then the other night, I forget why, we went out to do something. And we were just like, fuck it, you want to get dinner? Sure. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Pull in here. Yeah, we went to get gas in the car. We just ended up going to dinner, and we did this and that, and it wasn't much, but we had a great time, just non-scripted. I'm like, oh, fucking finally, this feels like when I was a kid again.
Yeah.
And she loved it. And so I'm like, all right, the new rule is at least one night a week, we got to do an unscripted night out. Just go out and do whatever.
Exactly.
And so while we were heading out yesterday, my old friend, who I haven't talked to since maybe around Halloween, much,
Real quick,
called me up.
the
Yes,
funny thing
Thorne.
is, he just popped up into a conversation earlier in the day when I was talking to my mom.
Yep. And Wyatt says he can relate, but he's much younger. Now, here's the thing. That's your generation that is living that now. My generation remembers the other side of that. And I feel really bad for people under 20 right now who aren't, especially under 15, who are growing up in a world where COVID, you know, took over the last 2 years of their life.
Yeah. Which is
Or
a big
going
chunk
on.
for them. Yeah. I
Yeah,
really do.
and you
it's
lost all
horrible
that.
for them.
So we went out last night, and while we were
Nice.
driving to dinner, I called my friend because he left me a message, just like my wife just said. And that's pretty fucking cool.
Love it. Come on.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Just like she said. And so I called him up, and he's like, oh, well, I'm actually free tonight. It's been a little while, but I'm like, okay, what do you want to do, you know? And it was kind of like a date night, but it was kind of like meant to be our anything goes night. So I'm like, all right, honey, what do you want to do? Is it all right? Or do you want to... She doesn't always necessarily want to hang out with him or whatever. You know, she likes to do her own thing. Or date night. You know, I don't want to interrupt our date night, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I think I'll be okay with it. So we went and had dinner, and then I called him up. I'm like, listen, you want to meet us somewhere after dinner? Yeah, sure. Okay, so we called him after dinner and said, let's meet at the graveyard like we used to do. So we did. And we go up to the graveyard. We're sitting at the top of the graveyard like we used to, because I got one of the coolest graveyards in the country that I grew up with. I mean that. Plushie, when you come here, you're probably going to love
I've
it.
seen pictures. It looks pretty fucking dope.
Like, look at it. I'll send you the address. You can look up what it looks like from like picture. Anyway, so we're sitting at the top of this cemetery, and we're talking for like 2 hours almost. It felt like, and then you know we decided to come and refuel. We came back home for a minute, got some drinks and stuff, and I'm like, let's go on more of an adventure. Let's go to Kings Park Asylum. So we go there, but we didn't really feel comfortable getting out. We were still. The adult in us was still active, we'll say. But at this point, we're still unscripted, and we didn't have like a deep plan. It was just, let's go do this. And then he's like, all right, since we're not going in there, let's just drive around. So we drove around, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just like it was when I was like 22, 21, 20. This is like the glory days. I'm feeling at home. I feel fucking good. I'm not thinking about, I didn't even look at my phone or in the drive. I'm like, holy shit, my whole fucking Discord and YouTube life could just burn up right now and I'd be perfectly fine with it. I'm so confident and happy, right? And I'm inspired, and I'm thinking about what to write later. I don't feel taxed. I don't feel drained. I don't feel squished.
And I got to sit in the back seat.
Yeah, she got to sit in the back seat because she usually drives, because I have a slight phobia of driving. We'll just leave it at that. I'll do it. I'm actually a good driver. It's just like I'm like agoraphobic about driving. Like once I start driving, I'm fine. Which is weird because I'm like the whole no fear guy, but it's not like
It doesn't help that our car is tiny.
that too. I feel like I'm wearing the car more than I'm driving it. But I don't like driving that car in particular, so I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna, you know, I will drive to work all the time. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I won't. It's just I feel like it's a hesitation that turns into I just tend not to if someone else is willing to drive. But I will drive if I have to. So unless it's my car, then I drive a lot more. But anyway, so he's driving, my friend, and I'm just like, oh, this is so fucking awesome. And we end up going to Jane's Hill. Now, Jane's Hill is part of the Mount Misery legend. If you look that stuff up, it's part of Sweet Hollow Road, Mount Misery, and that is where most of the really spooky shits happened to me growing up. So we go there, and it's nice and dark. We don't hear traffic. Cell phones aren't going off. We're talking about spiritual stuff, and everybody starts feeling it, because that place is the highest point on Long Island, number one. Number two, it's a famous location. A lot of urban legends there. Number three, it's a crossroads if you count trails. So roads and trails lead up, 5 of them, to this one spot. So it is like the epitome of a spiritual crossroad. It's also a ley line nexus, if you know what those are.
Yeah.
And anybody remotely sensitive, if you stand in that the center of it, your hair will stand up. Just you'll feel like there's a vortex there. So we're there, and sure enough, after a little while, we all feel a little creeped out. A presence is there. And my friend and I were talking. He's highly Christian, but he's like an open-minded Christian. He's like, I really wish you weren't working with Satan there, buddy, but I get what you're doing. And so he's pretty cool about it. And he's like one of those Christians that is totally like, you can come to our commune, just don't criticize, please.
Hey, as a little bit of inside baseball, is this the friend that I think it is?
Yeah, you know him pretty good.
Okay.
Not that. Yeah, you know him pretty good.
Curious.
Yeah, you know him pretty good. And so he's there, and he's actually very spiritually sensitive. I actually handed him a piece of Moldavite, which is like the first one I bought for myself, which is right here. And I have a much bigger one, but this one's something about the way it's terminated. You feel the charge between your, like you feel the jolt between your fingers if you're remotely sensitive. He holds it in his hand. He's like, is this piezoelectric? I'm like, actually, Moldavite isn't piezoelectric. I felt the shock. And I'm like, of course you did, because it's Moldavite. It's powerful shit. And I'm like, that's good. So anyway, he feels it too. And we're talking about it. I'm like, he's like, you know, I don't know much about anything, but I know when the hair stands up on my body, there's a spirit or a ghost or something there. I'm like, yes, you know it, brother, because that's like my physical sign. Like you can't fake hair on your arm standing up. You can't fake that. Like you can fake all the, you can't fake the hair standing on your arms. You can't fake that.
Somebody clip that.
Where's CM Helnicani and please make a clip out of that part. So we're there at this spot, and he's feeling it. My wife's feeling it. Everybody's feeling this. I'm seeing shit like in my astral sight. I'm seeing, and it's felt. All I'm going to say is like there's nothing really deep about it, except my wife has a much more cooler story about it than I do, really. But the old days were back for a minute, and I realized this is what's missing. You all who love the technology are not wrong to love the technology. What is wrong is this. Flesh, are you? Oh, okay, never mind. I was seeing something. What you're wrong about, and I mean this objectively, you are objectively wrong for deleting your real life in favor of this virtual bullshit. The only thing that's good about the virtual bullshit is if you are spiritually sensitive, is your use of the virtual bullshit is getting you acclimated to taking your mask off, because you're realizing that your identity isn't real, because you're living avatars already. Like when you're online all the time and you know, if you're on my Discord and you got like 10 different names, you're already used to juggling avatars already. Well, it's only a little bit of a step between realizing that your personal identity that you think you are is also just an avatar, that you can take that mask off anytime you want and be the divine once again, anytime. It's really that easy. Although it's not always easy to take the mask off, it's easy to realize it and go about the process. Once you do it once, you can do it again. And then it becomes easier and easier. At some point, your body's going to go. And when it does that, you either, if you're still attached to that identity, you will die the spiritual death, in a manner of speaking anyway. You will go through that hell and that samsara all over again. But when you realize that this is just a mask, you can take that fucker off anytime you want. When this body goes kaput, it's still going to be a battle. I'm sorry to tell you, it's still going to be a battle. But you are much more likely to just let go and then be at peace with whatever comes next. You might pick up a new mask, but your new mask is not going to be welded to your face. You can take it off again, and easier and easier. And at some point, your mask will become something that is not bodied, but disembodied. You'll become a living God, if you will, and you'll go beyond that until eventually you are the whole show again. That's inevitable. That's an inevitable outcome, completely. So, here's the deal, guys.
Break, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, Nina.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll do some more questions when she comes back, because I'm gonna have to take a tinkle in a second myself. Here's the key. I want you all this week, if you listen to me and you trust me about anything, I'm sure a lot of you are gonna say, "Oh, I already do that." No, I want you to really do the hard fucking thing. I want you to get out of your comfort zone. Pretend this is Fight Club. Like I feel like I'm Tyler Durden. Go lose a fight. I want you right now, everybody, this week. I want you to turn this shit off. I want you to reunite with a friend or something and have an unscripted adventure. I want you to go to that haunted mansion. Fuck the bar. Fuck the usual. Like, don't make a plan about it except that you're gonna hang out. Don't be like, we're gonna go to the bar and go to the dinner and go to this. You can start it with, we're gonna go have dinner, but then just be like, question mark after that is all I'm saying. Do an unscripted night with you and someone that you care about. It's preferably 2 or 3 people. Recapture those glory days that you've lost. And if you've never had them, find a way to make it happen.
Even in a very practical magic sense, that's just a good thing to do, because you're opening yourself to new opportunities. You're giving chance for new things to enter and things to speak to you. It's inviting synchronicities into your life. When you get too much into that ritualistic regularity, you're cutting that ability off.
And I want to add another thing. Don't fall back on chemicals. I'm not saying don't do anything, but don't go out with the intention to get fucked up. Stop medicating. Okay? To me, chemicals are a spiritual medicine. Learn when you use them that it's not a recreation. I'm not trying to be a right-hand path. Be straight edge. That's not me at all. It's what I'm telling you is you're using that like a video game or some shit. That's not what it's there for. You're escaping into it. That's wrong. It's meant to help you take the mask off. Like my friend Aaron was just talking to me about the Path of Dionysus, which he's going to be on at the end of the month, by the way. I'm going to have him on again, and I really want to hear about this Path of Dionysus thing that he's talking about, because he's talking about going with the Dionysian mysteries, which was you get inebriated, but just to the point of being just buzzed, not drunk, and you maintain it so you have spiritual epiphanies while you're doing it. It's a pretty powerful concept. I hate alcohol, but I get what he's saying because I like that stage myself. I hate the drunk stage. I like everything up to that. So put all of these little, like, I don't care how much of a herb you are or how much you're a psychonaut or any of that shit. Have a good old time and make it spiritual in nature if you can. Go ghost hunting. Do something that's really cool like that. And I that's just me. Like, that's what gets me going. But do something that gets you going. And put this garbage in the trash for the night. Don't even take it with you if you can get away with it. You probably can't, but if you can get away with it, don't even take it with you. It's more than just a detox of your what's that stuff? Dopamine. It's more than just a dopamine detox. It is a dopamine detox is cool, but you want to take that to the next level where you're reconnecting with your humanity. Well,
and to even extend and beat the point to death that I brought up, if your escape of the ritualistic regularity is always the mundanity of let's get fucked up in one way or another, then that's still ritualistic regularity.
Good point. Yeah. And it is getting out of your normal routine, but it's also, that's definitely a big piece of it, but it's not just that. It's a subtle thing, I'm telling you. It's life is not this. This isn't life, guys. It's not. You know what life is? And most of you are going to relate to this instantly. You know what life is? Flushy, how does this sound to you? You and I and April and some other people, we bring Nina, EA, just all the cool people that we know, that we love. Or even just the 3 or 4 of us. Even just the 2 of us. We go off into a cabin in the woods, turn off all the lights, go out in the front lawn, light a big old bonfire, stare at the sky, and talk about the universe for a while.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Be a mystic. That's what the whole thing was about, wasn't it? About the
Be a mystic. Good point. Yeah. Well, that was the title.
Yeah.
That's the title anyway.
Yes. Well, that's just it, and to just sit back and absorb, because everybody's so we go out there and we're just rushing around trying to get from A to B, and we're not looking up, we're not looking at the sky, we're not looking at nature, we're not connecting with nature, we're not doing any of that stuff anymore. You know, it's all just looking straight down or looking at our phones, and that's it. We've disconnected ourselves from the mystical aspects of life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
It's focusing in so much on, you know, the ants climbing the tree or whatnot, just being really, really focused and caring a lot about what happens to this specific tree, this tiny little microcosm. That doing this is a really great opportunity to step back and realize there's an entire forest going on, and just
listen. The
rest of
elites
it.
have their cremation of care ceremony, guys. Think about it. You go check out the truth about Bohemian Grove, whether you believe in the evil or not. Look it up. They have a cremation of care ritual. No, they're not sacrificing someone to Moloch. That's actually Minerva or related to Athena. Trust me, it's not a demon that they're worshiping or anything. But they're right. They go there and they do a cremation of care. That is actually, if you guys really paid attention to my midsummer ritual, I did my version of a cremation of care. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Look at what I did for that ritual. Very similar principle. I threw all of my concerns on the bonfire of the midsummer energies and let it go. It worked pretty good for a little bit. Cremation of care is not like some evil thing where you're sacrificing. No, you're literally going, I am a heavily burdened person, and I'm letting go of the bullshit, and I'm returning to my spiritual, mystical path, in our case.
Yeah.
Did we finish our story?
No, you can go ahead and tell your cool part of it.
I wasn't sure where you were at in that.
I kind of took a break from it because I was like getting all ranty and reading Wyatt Coverdale calling me an egotistical asshole, and I got carried away with it because I'm like, yeah, I fucking am. And then
Yeah, there is no straight lines. It all is a crooked path of conversation here.
You need the supercuts just to make me coherent.
I need a map.
But yeah, I am really curious to hear. He's been playing it up a little bit now, so I'm curious what your side was, Camilla.
My side was we were up at the rock.
We call it the Rock. That's Jane's
We were
side.
up at the rock, and we were kind of standing where the gate was opened, and the whole time you kind of feel something over your shoulder down this one path in particular. And, you know, every so often, like a branch would fall, or it would sound like an animal walking. And as per usual, I get little visions of, like, a floodlight shining. Like I do, and it's pretty common when I do rituals out in the woods or outside that something like that occurs. Like, it's hard to explain. I'm not very good at explaining tonight. But him and his friend were talking, and like out of nowhere, my entire backside from my heels to the top of my head felt like kind of like when you're facing a fire in the cold, like one side is cold and the other side is hot. My entire backside got really, really hot, and I felt as if arms were wrapping around right where my diaphragm is, and I lost breath. In my mind's eye, I saw a tall man.
Well, you
never
know
good.
why the tall man would show up really strong? I wish you had told me that last night, because I would have validated some of that for you. Tall man shows up really strong around this particular person we're with because of certain shadows of sexuality that are in his heart. And there's so much repression and so much pent up that there is a very deep dark shadow building in this person because they won't face it and they won't deal with it, they won't integrate it, they won't anything because of that Christian overcome. They'd probably disagree with me all mad if they watch this, so forgive me, buddy. I love you like a brother. I'm just, you know, but you tell me the truth when you think you see it too, so that's all I'm doing. This tall man vibe, if allowed to go too far, is one of the most vile of the bunch. You know, the most predatory of the bunch, the most dangerous of the bunch, because it's you know, it's the whole reason we had what is it, that one Law and Order special series about Special Victims Unit, right? It's just that gross. So that spirit is very strong, and I don't doubt that that's the one you felt. You know which one I was feeling was the Colossal, because that's another one that was rearing its head that night. It was a lot of impotent rage last night that we were letting go of, because all we did was talk about similar stuff to what we're talking about tonight, because we're all pissed about stuff that we see, but it was actually really cathartic for me. I let it all go. Like, I integrated that rage.
Well, I mean, when it happened, it wasn't scary. It was almost like a friendly hug. But just the way it was almost like being constricted, but it wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't. I mean, you know.
Well, his friendly hug is like the friendly hug you get in the prison shower when you drop the soap. You know, it's not the good friendly hug. It's the wrong kind.
Yeah.
Bad touch. Bad touch. So you got nauseous after that, though.
Yeah, I did, but not in the typical sick nauseous. It's kind of hard to explain that one too. Yeah, definitely had to sit down for a bit.
Yeah, so we got out of there shortly after that because she was feeling ill enough, and I was like, yeah, it's getting late anyway, so we'll leave. But I'm pretty much intending, if he's able or someone else, we're going back there like once a week or something without a strong plan. Just we're going to drive around and end up there and do like the old days, because it's necessary at this point. You know, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
And,
So.
you know, it's just, you really got to break up the routine. I mean, I work, I do my stuff at home, work, and then I go to bed.
What were we going to say, Nina?
You know, we're talking about all this doom and gloom and whatever, and you know, I think it's important to not to give up, right? That we can change things, and that we should at least try. You know, and I know with Arwayne Steiger here, he's getting a bunch of us together. We got a sigil that we're gonna use and do, you know, an intent at the same time, and try and see if we can't change some things, because this group has already done that with some experiments with weather and stuff like that, and it works. So why not try and change this timeline then? Try and change what's happening here, you know? So I'm not going down without a fight, that's for sure. So
here's my thought on this. And I've said this kind of stuff before. We are all here right now in this timeline because that is where we as a higher dimensional being want us to be. You're not a victim of this timeline. You're causing it. When I say causing it, I don't mean you're causing the events of the world, because that's like, let's go back to the Matrix with the little boy and the spoon. To bend the spoon is absurd. You got to bend yourself. So let's really understand this for a moment. Instead of thinking, I'm going to use a sigil and make the bad guys lose. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what if the more appropriate understanding is you're going to use that sigil, and that sigil's a gateway to a timeline that you need it to be. Some of you, that timeline, I have no doubt. Look, the Mandela effect is real. Although it's an urban legend, it's real. That is literally how we all travel through time-space. That is it. Each one of us being the same divine consciousness, animating through all these different points of potentiality. We all see the reality that our consciousness wants us to see moment to moment. The Mandela effect is real. That's when you are aware accidentally of that shift in timeline, and it's not a joke. It's not just a quirk of neurology. It looks like that on the outside because that objective world is that objective world. You did literally jump into a world where you're wrong if you think the other way. So when you're using these sigils, you know why you're really going to fail sometimes? Is because you think you're supposed to be changing the world. The world doesn't change. The world is a static, almost like the film of a projector. It's a static snapshot, moment to moment, of infinite, infinite scale, but also infinite smallness. And in each frame, all the details are contained. So if you want to live in a timeline that's different from this one, what your ego says is not what's going to get you there. Your ego is a pawn of the system. Your ego is a part of them. It's a mask of the system. I am obviously not all the way there, else I'd be in some dimension where I'm king or something already. I'm experiencing the timeline I need it to be, which may include some kind of sci-fi nightmare scenario where we all get marched off into gulags and turned into paste to fuel their rocket ships. I don't fucking know. But so what Wayne's doing is appropriate. I agree with it. But the where I think it's going to benefit everybody the most is to realize that if it's going to work, it's your consciousness that's going to go to the timeline you need it to be. And that's it. Instead of thinking this sigil with enough people charging it is going to change the world, let me tell you this. If it works, you'll never know the difference, because to you, you're going to jump into a timeline where it appears to work. Now, why is that important to know? Because if those who understand the non-dual spirit are correct, and I know they are, it's not a question of can I argue it. I've seen it firsthand with my soul, with my eyes. I've had that my ego is a lie moment. I've had the ego at least as far as I can go without chemicals anyway. I'm sure if I used the chemical solution, it would be even stronger of a conviction.
That ayahuasca.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to potentially trying at some point.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to that.
So, if we are right, if the non-dual perspective is right, the one that I adhere to, all the potential universes exist and they are a static bang. They don't change, they don't move. You cannot bend what is not real. All that's happening is your consciousness is scanning that ink blot and making a story out of it. So if you want to see a different story, instead of changing the ink blot, you can't do that. You have to change what you're looking at. Now, why is that important, what I just said? Because all of the highest magical systems, what do they tell you? Where you aim your attention is where you end up. Because we know in the fractal way of the way reality manifests, if you are looking over there, you're going to walk over there. It's really hard to look this way and walk that way. You can do it, but it's really hard. If you want to make a right when you're driving, you have to look right or else you're going to fuck up your turn. If you're skiing, when you're a beginner skier, when they're teaching you how to turn your skis, they'll sort of tell you what to do with your feet, but they'll tell you if you're having trouble, look in the direction you're trying to go and your body's going to end up there because it just instinctively does it. Well, guess what? That's not just your body, that's your consciousness. This is why what Fleshy was saying, what some other people were saying, because Fleshy, you said this before we came online.
What is that? The thing about, I was responding to somebody in the chat. Are you referring to my comment about accelerationism?
Kind of like it, where because we're all worried about it and looking at it, we're going to make it appear that way to us and go through the hell and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, your point might have been slightly different, but it's correct. So Nina and I are looking at this from we're all getting fucking, genocided and this and that. And that might be where we end up because that's where our ideation is. Our consciousness is aiming at that.
Yeah.
So how do we transcend it? Well, the first thing you got to do is not give a fuck, in my opinion.
I'm kind of at that point now, but when you look at prayer, I mean, the more people are praying over a person or praying for something, it seems to help, though. It's kind of like, you'll get more attention from the spirit world or whatever. The more people are doing it, it's definitely gonna help. I mean, prayer seems to work, meditation seems to work, sigil work seems to work. So why not try? We can't just sit here and do nothing. We got to do something.
No, yeah.
Right? So at least we can say, well, we tried something, whatever, right? And it does. So if you try this on a smaller scales, like weather changes or little things that you can actually see the manifestation of it, though, like right away, like it's immediate results. You know, start there first, and then and you'll see. I mean, you can make some changes. You know, we do have the capability of it. I do believe. You know, it does something. I don't know how it does it, but it does. So, yeah.
So someone was just saying in the chat they've been sending me graphics on Facebook. I feel like I vaguely remember. I get like so many messages sometimes in a day. I don't really necessarily respond or look at them all. Sometimes it's like 10, sometimes it's 2, but I don't like Facebook. So if you want me to see your artwork, my friend who's asking, because I mean, if I showed you, I could scroll for like an hour and I wouldn't get to the bottom of all my messages, and that's just from people that I accept them from. If you want me to see artwork, I'm going to tell you probably the best way to do it is to go into our Discord server.
Oh, what is that flying above my head? That came in at a convenient time.
Yeah, maybe it is. So if you can, join our Discord server. We have an arts and crafts room. Just tag me in whatever you want me to see, and I'll take a look at it. And may not comment on it, but if you want me to see it, I'm almost certain to see it, because anybody who's on Discord knows that I respond on Discord, and I do respond on Facebook, but I hate fucking Facebook. So I only use that for like an hour a day, unless I have a lot of messages from people that I have to talk to, if that makes sense, because I have some people that I will accept alerts from. So I avoid Facebook like a hot flaming dumpster, because it's literally a hot flaming dumpster. I would leap into a hot flaming dumpster at a shit factory before I would fucking, like, allow myself, like, if I had it to do over again, if I could extricate myself from Facebook, I would never go back. Never. But unfortunately, a good portion of my business comes from there, so
yeah,
whatever.
So
yeah, I'm with you with that. Yeah, for sure.
So
Fleshy, you want to so the link to the Discord, Mysterious Goth?
I will post that in the chat for anybody who did not catch it flying above my head in just a moment. In the meantime, right before I do that, and I will tag you with it, Mysterious J Goth. Do you want to get to the next question? Because this is actually from the exact same person we're referencing. Mysterious J Goth asked, "Is the energy shift affecting the people with sickness?" And that came from very early on in the stream when we were talking about the entire
thing that shall not be named. Yeah. So what do they mean? So re-ask the question, but maybe I might need more context, unfortunately.
Yeah, J Goth, if you can tag me with some context for that, the question you asked, is the energy shift affecting the people with sickness? I think we'll need a little bit more context to answer that one. So maybe I'll go to the next one in the meantime while waiting to hear back from them on
And
that.
let's have Nina answer this one first if we can, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So next question for now is from Wyatt Coverdale. He asks,
that motherfucker again?
it seems pretty obvious that cosmically everything we've been told is a bunch of bullcrap. So how come people still choose to follow it? Everyone knows it, so why are people not escaping?
It's kind of like the Emperor's has no clothes. Do you guys remember that story from?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like that. Everybody can tell that the Emperor's not wearing any clothes, but nobody wants to be the first one to point it out. Right? So, and a lot of people are choosing to be asleep. They don't want to because it's not fun. This is not a fun thing. It's, but it is what it is. And it's a natural thing. We are going through cycles, the whole weather pattern thing. That is a real thing. There is climate change, okay? It's not a global warming, but it is a climate change. And that's a natural thing. It's nothing that we've done.
And there will be upheavals because of it here and there, for sure.
Well, yeah. Of course, and that's why there's going to be a lot more floods and earthquakes and all these things that we're seeing. Yes, these are. And
we shouldn't be polluting. Like that's not what we're fighting over. We're not.
And I do kind of agree with them, I guess, in a certain degree of this has to stop. What we've been doing here on this planet has to stop. I mean, I remember as a kid when I found out that they put all our garbage goes on a barge and then you push that out into the ocean. I'm like, what? That's
Yep.
how we get rid of it. I mean, you know, and so now is you got all these barges all together because all the currents come together in this one spot. So all our garbage is sitting there. You know, this can't be going on forever. We have to stop the way we've been doing things.
I like Futurama's answer to it. You just throw it into the sun every couple thousand years, and
Well, there's actually some truth to that. See, all of these programs, okay, there's a lot of truth in there, but we don't know them. The sun, there's a lot more to the sun than we realize.
oh yeah, the connection, the energy
yeah.
connection to the sun with the electromagnetic field is people don't realize it for sure.
Well,
Like when you have sunspots, you have
It says you got to go through the sun.
yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of, but that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, there's
That's another. So it's really interesting because just to briefly touch on it though, the sun's electromagnetic field and ours, they're fucking each other all the time,
Right.
and what happens to one does influence the other subtly enough that you can have changing weather patterns and all
yes.
kinds of shit
And
just
between
because of it.
The Schumann resonance last week was off the charts, literally.
Hmm.
And a lot of us who are sensitive felt it. It was a weird thing. And then when you bring in the solar flares and yeah, these things, going back to that question a little bit, yes, these things will affect people, you know, whether you're really
Yeah.
sensitive or you have medical condition, yeah, it's going to affect it, you know. Considering our body's 70% water, obviously the moon and all of these things are affecting us, you know, and the Schumann and the solar, yeah, there's a lot of things going on. So we're going to feel it for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And violence is life is pretty much correct. I'm going to touch on this just for because I really want to hit that main question though. The climate change grift, as you're calling it, violence is life. He says, I agree. I want to stop pollution, but the climate alarmist cult is grift to sell carbon credits. You got to realize that the very people that seem to be targeted by the green movement to stop polluting very much are the ones who promote that movement because they didn't want the United States to develop our own independent energy fossil fuel system because it threatens their monopoly on the petrodollar. So if America feels guilted out of developing coal and oil, we can't compete in the energy marketplace, which means we can't be free with our own energy, which means the Saudis and all of those people, oh, why'd my channel go down? The Saudis and all of those people can't fuck you, right? So of course the political argument, all subversive arguments, all the best propaganda is based on a legitimate problem. So the problem is, yes, we pollute too much. Yes, we use too much fossil fuel. There's no question about it. We need to get off of these things. There's no question about that. That has never been anything I've argued against, ever. But the hysteria of it, though, is designed to stop popular support for anything that might create independence from a globalist system. That is really hard to see because the nuance is hidden between 50 layers of good sounding shit that it's very easy if you're not spiritually in touch, maybe, or if you're not really informed, maybe, or if you're leading with your good intentions. Look, the movie The Green Mile, when what's his name, he says that he gets them what they love, boss. He gets them what they love. That's how they get you, because you legitimately love the world and you love everybody. You're not trying to hurt anybody. All of you people who were throwing bricks into the cities last summer, you were doing it, you thought, out of love. I know that. I fucking know you did it for that reason. But what you don't know is what it's really doing. And that's how they're getting it. And maybe I'm doing it right now too, by the way. So there is that. I accept that.
Well, we're just humans too, right? We don't know everything, but yeah, at least we're aware of it,
Yep.
you know. And that's what we're trying to get out there, is that we need to start looking at the big picture here, you know. And you know, there is a lot of people here, you know.
Yep.
I kind of see where they're getting at here. And the thing is that we have the technology now, and I hate to say this, but we do have the technology now that most of our jobs don't really need humans anymore, you know. So we are getting outfaced, okay, because they don't need us, you know. Let's face it, humans, you know, we need breaks. We got to go to the bathroom, we got to eat, we got to sleep. Machines don't need that. So it is an economical solution to just outsource all of these jobs, but you know. So that's kind of part of the agenda why they want to depopulate a little bit here, because they don't need us anymore now.
So Fleshy, I want to answer the original question, but you sound like you're trying to get a grunt in edgewise.
I'm gonna insert a little bit of my humor, and that's why OnlyFans is going to be our final haven because the robots can take so much from us, but the robots cannot take away these pictures of my bunghole where the magic is hidden. Subscribe to my OnlyFans, Flesh Priest.
Unfortunately, Fleshy, if you go to that website where they have people's faces that don't exist,
Yeah.
the time will come soon when your bunghole will be up there and you didn't even
It's
know
not
it.
even your bunghole anymore. It's a machine, or it's a. You know,
Yeah.
You know what? Sorry to fucking derail this for a second, but okay, fuck, this face doesn't exist. Do you know about this foot doesn't exist? They will send you fucking AI-generated feet pics.
So what's the website for those in the... that's a joke, guys. All right, so
Or is it?
my...
Or is it? Yeah.
So why don't we do anything about it? So there's here comes non-dualism. Hold on to your butts. The first part of the answer is watch The Matrix if you haven't, and watch the Cypher character. Just like Nina said, truth is painful. Truth is never easy. This is why the left-hand path is the one with the bigger balls and the thicker calluses and the tougher everything. Because the ones who are truly, and that's also why you see a lot more derelicts and fuck-ups in it. Because those people have already been wounded, or they're fucked up because they sought the truth. Because it's not easy. It's the harder of the two in a lot of ways. The right-hand path is too easy in a lot of ways. Yes, please save me, oh God, and then you get saved or something. The left-hand path is like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're kind of cool, but still fuck you. I'm doing it my way, and then you wake up because you got hit with the truth.
It's kind of like that great occultist Dumbledore said that one time. That everybody, and I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sorry fucking Potter fans, don't at me. At some point everybody has to make the choice between doing what is right and what is easy.
Yeah,
Truth
it's
ain't
exactly
easy.
that. Yeah.
Well, that's just it. It's easy to just close your mind to it and just just go about your day, because they're pretty good at keeping us busy. You know, if we're not working, we're either being busy sitting at some ball game or fighting each other over, our sexuality or something. They'll keep us busy doing something so that we don't start tapping into these things, right? They don't want us to do that. So, yeah.
So here's the non-dual angle of it, though. Here's the deal, brother. Ignorance is why you're here in the first place. Willful ignorance. Let me put it to you like this. If what I claim about non-duality in the broad sense is true, because I'm not specific about it, I have a very broad non-dual spectrum, although I like Advaita Vedanta as one of my favorite ontologies. That's not the only one that I ascribe to. I think they all have a part of the answer very clearly. So let's say the non-dual truth is true. You are God. In no uncertain terms, let's use those Western terms for a moment. You are the Most High. Let's pretend you're Yahweh, the equivalent of. You are the Most High. You are God. You've forgotten you're God. Why? Why are you here? Why don't you know what I know? Why don't you have power over everything right now? Well, you do, but why don't you know about it? So here's the thing. Have you ever heard of that hypothetical question? I bet you Nina has. Can God make a rock that God can't move?
Right. Well, I think our concept of God is a little...
Well, let me play with this for a little more. So the question is, can God make a rock that God can't move? So let's say if we're non-dual, if there is a God, that's what we are. Okay, so we are that divinity. That divinity is all-knowing and ever-present, because that's what it would be, right? And if you're ever-present and all-knowing, that means you're all-powerful too, right? Because to be any one of those, you're all three of them automatically. If you know everything, that's because you are already everywhere and you're already doing everything. If you're everywhere, then that means you must know everything because you're everywhere, and that must mean you're already doing everything because you're everywhere that everything's being done. And if you're doing everything, that means you're all powerful, you're doing everything, and the only way you could do that is if you're everywhere and know everything. So if you're any one of those, you're all three, okay? So write that down. If you're any one, you're all three. So if you are that omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent being, if you're an omniety, can you make a rock that you cannot move? So the paradox of that question is, if you say yes, God can make a rock that it can't move, then that means that God's not all powerful because it can't move that rock. If you say no, then it's a paradox again, because an all-powerful God should be able to do anything, right? So it's a seeming paradox, but here's the answer, and no one else I've ever heard of has ever answered it. It's actually the theme of my newest book that I keep talking about. It's a very beginner piece, so I don't mind telling you. Do you know how God creates a rock that it can't move? By temporarily forgetting that it's God. By going through a period where it willfully says, I am going to divert my cosmic omniscient attention away from my omniscience for a moment. I'm going to ignore all of this, because the key word in ignorance is what? Ignore, not anything else. It's literally it's a kind of ignoring is what ignorance means. This is why some words have deep fucking magical meanings and people don't realize when they're using it what they're saying. Like the word manifest, for example. So you are a non-dual divinity. You are it. Tat Vam Asi, that thou art. You are the whole fucking thing. Why don't you know it? Because you don't want to know it right now. Because you're playing the game of, oh, look, I can't move the rock. Oh, look, it's just... So if you could be that anything God that can do anything, in order to create a rock that you can't move, you have to forget that you're also the rock. You have to forget that you're God. What do you have to do? You can make a pebble the size of like a pea. And then you know what you do? You become an amoeba that's stuck to that pea and can't move that pea. Not that that's all you are, but that's you forget your everything else. You focus your attention only on that. This is also why you are the center of the universe no matter where you go in it. Once upon a time, hundreds of years ago, not that far back, you would get burned at the stake if you dared to say that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. Science got a chip on his shoulder about that, and science decided to disprove that because they said, you know what? No, we know we're right. The sun is the center of the universe. And they said, okay, wait a minute, we're wrong. It's not the sun. The sun's actually just another star. It's a galaxy. That's the center. That's the universe. It's not us. So God doesn't love us. See, God's not real. See how not real God is? Because if God was real, we'd be the center of the universe, right? So that's their argument. Well, you know what they're really quiet about? Does anybody know what they're really quiet about? They're really quiet about the fact that they've realized that everywhere in the universe is the center of the universe because it's endless, more or less. No matter where you go, you're at the center of your own event horizon. You can't look beyond a certain distance. It's beyond, the universe is way bigger than that, but it gets deeper than that. Every point in the universe is rushing away from every other point in the universe at an accelerating rate. Do you know what that means? That the Big Bang, the quantum singularity of the Big Bang, happened everywhere at the same time. In other words, everywhere is the center of that starting point. Where else would God be except in the center of it all, no matter where it goes? Think, young gods, think, please think. They don't want you to know this because if you did, they couldn't rule you.
Right. Yeah, I kind of believe that goes along with that. Is that I believe the word God is a misword for it there, but I do believe there's one creator. One big huge consciousness that created everything, and I believe we are fractals of that consciousness. And by coming here, we have amnesia. We don't remember a thing, right? But this is how this consciousness can experience everything.
Sure, that's definitely one of the ways that it's looked at, because you have even Carl Sagan says
could create that rock. It still wants to experience not being able to move it, not being able to,
correct.
How else
because,
would it know that if he couldn't experience that?
Because in order to experience the ability to move it, you also have to know what it means to not be able to.
Right, exactly. So we have that's why we're here, to experience this, and then we go back into the big consciousness, I guess, and bring back all our information that we got.
Except now let's take time out of the conversation. Time is also that illusion, because time is another rock we can't move.
Right.
Time isn't real.
Right, I know.
You're already there.
Yes.
You're already that.
It's already happened.
You're just focused. It's already happened.
And that's why the whole magic thing, it's already happened. That's the thing. And
Yes, yes. You got it, Nina. You got it.
Because I'm one of those people that have dreams and then it happens, right? So I'm like, okay, I really got to figure this out. Well, the only way that I can figure that I'm able to do that is because it's already happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Same thing with your rituals. Same thing with your magic rituals and your sigils. The only reason you made the sigil is because consciously
I've already done
your
it.
higher self, it's already done it. Exactly. Exactly. So why do we do the magic at all? It's because the magic is teaching you to wake up. It's teaching you to say, how come I knew to do that? How come that happened when I did? Am I God? And then you go, oh yeah, I guess I am. Now you might not like the word God, but that is a valid word for what we're talking about, because it is divine. We use God not in the external word, because God doesn't have to be external.
Right.
The non-dual understanding is everything is internal, everything. It's all internal, as Flesh Priest would like to look up on the internet. Look that up for us, Flesh Priest. Look up allinternal.com.
With my search history, that might pull up something that we're not looking for.
I have a feeling you won't even have to finish typing it. You'll just put I, and it'll be one of the first things that pops up with your search history, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Mine too, probably. But, you know,
going
anyway.
to deflect there.
What? I do it. You do it. We all do it. If you say you don't, you do it twice on Sunday. So, yeah. So, guys, you just read my newest book in a nutshell.
Okay.
Just so you know. So, I'm going to go a lot further than that, but that's the nutshell.
Don't tell them that. The sales will go down.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going to elaborate on it all. I'm going to explain it all as best I can, and how you use that to understand. When you this is the zen of my magic. It's like that's why I keep saying become the maelstrom is like, here's some good ideas and that's cool, but I didn't know how to say what I wanted to say yet. So this new book is going to be like, okay, take the first half of Become the Maelstrom, rip it out, and put this part in, and that's probably what it's going to be like. Anybody who's taking part of my classes, you'll know that like when I'm talking about doing ritual, and people, you know, I kind of get a little flaky because I'm getting more and more educated about the occult symbolism and the esoteric symbols that are out there. And the more I learn about them, the more I realized how kind of obtuse it is to care about them. Because ultimately, at the highest level of of magic, period. We use look, I mean, E.A. Quetting has influenced stuff so much we call it all black magic now. At the highest level of magic, period, black or other color, it doesn't matter. The highest level of magic is no longer about doing rituals. You'll still do them, but it's not about the rituals. It is about being so connected with reality that every moment is synchronicity, every moment. Imagine your whole life, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, every experience being a synchronistic event. That is technically possible. What is that like, and what does that mean? It's not just a beautiful poetic sounding thing. What would that mean? That means that every single moment of your life is connected to every other, and you see how. That is omniscience. That is the awakened God being in your life. Now here's the problem. Your mortal brain can never contain any of that. It's like, you know, sucking a planet through a garden hose. It's never going to fit. So you do it in a temporal way. The whole thing of entropy, like you brought up fractals, all of time is nothing more than consciousness reflecting on itself, and all reflections, when they self-repeat, like when you take a mirror and make it reflect itself, contain minor imperfections of the reflection for many, many reasons, because no mirror is absolutely perfect. And as they reflect, if you ever hold two mirrors up next to each other and look at the reflection, you see them going off into infinity, right? And they're all a little different and smaller and different. Well, imagine that on a hyperdimensional 10, 12 dimension scale, not just the 2 or 3 of visual. This fractal, this reflection ends up becoming entropy, because every time it changes a little bit, every iteration is a molecule different in each possible universe. And probably even finer than that. It's probably like a quantum probability different. It's something so tiny that you can't even fathom it. That's the difference. So you're literally talking Rick and Morty. Like when Wyatt's saying I'm like Rick from Rick and Morty, I agree. I'm exactly like him, except I don't use a portal gun, I use a candle. It's the exact same principle. You understand that entropy, time is what happens when consciousness looks that way in the reflection and follows that reflection to however far it can follow. And entropy is what happens when that fractal, the complexity is, I'm not sure the math, somebody call Eddie, mathematically multiplied ad infinitum into an insane level where it becomes total oblivion, total neutrality. And if you understand how those reflected mirrors work, if you really know the science of it, you know that after a certain point, that reflection, it doesn't just get infinitely small. No, it literally loses, it entropically fails. It just blurs out, it goes away, and you can't see it because the wavelengths of light actually goes down to lower and lower wavelengths till it's gone, till you can't see it anymore. That's entropy. Where does this come from in my head? I don't know.
You know where it's coming from is that we already know all of this. We just forgotten. So what we're doing here is we're just trying to remember again. That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Some of us
You're
are
wiping, you're pulling the wool off.
A little bit more than others. That's all. That's all it is. Yeah. So we're trying to wake you up. We're trying to remember this shit. We know all this shit. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So those of us who see the future in a meat grinder, like I say, the meat grinder wood chipper.
Right.
That is definitely a potential future we're all going to have. Now, for whatever reason, I'm refusing to just walk the other way. I need this experience of the meat grinder dead ahead. Plush Priest goes, no, there's no meat grinder. It's probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
For him, it's probably true. Whatever his future is going to be, it's probably going to be fine. But you know, the irony is, in my future, if it goes towards that meat grinder, he's going to be called, Thorne, you were right. Oh my goodness.
Why did you say
this sucks. They're tracking me. You know, yeah, why didn't you save me? Right. So who's right, though? Nobody's right, because all of them are going to happen.
It doesn't matter who's right, ultimately. But I think, you know, some of us who are remembering a little bit more, our job then is just basically to comfort and help everybody along. Like, you know, like you said, love, you know, to bring love into it. You know, there's nothing we can do about it. I did have a dream about this big, huge fire thing that was coming down from the sky. And I know I've seen this somewhere before, but it looks controlled. And I know a lot of religions, a lot of places, they are saying that it's going to be a cleansing with fire that's going to go on this planet here.
Let's take it like this, as a symbol metaphorically. So let's say it could be literal, but let's also keep the door open for all the metaphors of what that means. And there's so much that could mean. I don't want to. That's a whole nother show.
But the thing that kind of validates it is that when you look at where the money is, the people who are in the know that have the money, what are they doing? They're either trying to get off planet. So the ultra rich, they're trying to go up to Mars, right? Colonize there.
They're already there, Nina.
Well, they're already there. But from what we know, right? Or they're trying to get a bunker to go underground. Okay, so it does sort of seem like being a surface dweller is probably not the safest thing that's coming. But what do we do, right? We're all here collected. There's nothing we can do. Okay. I will remind you all of my theory and my belief that this is not the first civilization of humanity on this earth. And that's another thing. Like I said about cycles, we've been here before. This is not our first rodeo, and that's why I think we've been here so many times now that it's like we're starting to remember a little quicker now this time around. Like we don't have time for this shit anymore. Like, each time the cycle repeats, it's always different. That's a fractal. But here's the thing, though. We called it Atlantis in the past. Right. Who knows what they called it before that? Yeah. At the very least, there was one before this. There might have been 2 million of them for all we know. Yeah, this is not our first. No. I mean, I don't think Lovecraft was wrong with his whole the race of Yith or whatever, those plant beings that were from ancient antiquity. That motherfucker either knew, channeled, or imagined accurately
in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that there was plant yith beings. I'm saying that idea is not wrong.
There's
I don't know how right it
different
is.
beings. Yeah, that's where we get this whole, you know, the Bigfoot and all of this. There's something to it, right? Somebody saw something. Like the sea, for instance. There's so much that we don't know about the sea. It is so deep, so vast. There's probably a whole civilization down there of beings. You know,
It could be, but let's also remember the hyperdimensionality of it.
Yeah.
There's also the idea that a lot of that could have been in another timeline, but we are remembering it from our
That's
current memory.
true,
There's
yeah.
so many ways this could be played. Like
Yes.
this is why I'm saying this is really fun to hypothesize, but let's be very careful we don't become ancient alien superstitious weirdos
I know.
about it, because
I know.
on some level you can get that's a psyop all its own.
Yeah.
Do you really think that if there was a possibility that it was really ancient aliens that did all this, that they'd have a History Channel special on it to have you learn about it? No, you'd never know.
I'm gonna
You know what you need?
interject real quick.
Yes.
I'm actually going to call it a night. I am
Yeah, me too.
freaking shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I slept like shit the past couple nights, so I'm not as talkative tonight.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
understand.
I think we're pretty much, I think I've ranted for a while, and let's get to the goodbyes and the,
Yeah.
first of all, we have a good viewer count right now, probably because honestly, and I've been afraid of this, is that unfortunately current events is way more popular than learning about, you know, how to channel spirits in a mirror, and telling stories about spirits is probably the only thing that might be more popular than that. So, you know, usually we're down to like 30 people at this point. Well, we still got 43 people watching, and I want to thank you guys for watching. For those of you who don't get what we're talking about or think we're nuts, I mean, look at the kind of content you're watching with us in the first place. You know, realize that we're not going to sound sane to most people no matter what we do. But I think that you're going to find that at the end of the day, a lot of this will be stuff we laugh about, and a lot of this stuff is going to be like, wow, I wish we did something different too. What that means exactly is up to you to figure out. But I want to thank you guys for watching this. Let's plug the shit out of Nina for a minute, because she was gracious enough to help us all these years, and we didn't plug her once. But I think she wanted to plug her ideas more than her stuff.
I've
So
been plugging her in chat, at least at the
Oh,
beginning.
have you?
And yeah, for everybody, keep an eye out in chat. And if you're watching this after the fact, check the top comment. It will be pinned, and there's going to be a link to all of Nina's stuff. For those of you who don't know, too, Nina almost always streams on Sunday, or as she likes to call it, Sin Day, because we're a bunch of fucking sin and black magic motherfuckers over here.
Yeah.
And CM Hell Nicanian, it's like, if I didn't know that you were a fan and a friend, it's like, he freaking trolls so well with us that it's like, you know what, I want to do like just a roast stream where I just sit here and you guys rag on me and I just try not to get mad. And I want to have CM Hell Nicanian, like, and no, that's not next week, but I do want to have him on soon. I want to do that soon. And just be nice, please be gentle. I want to have him lead the charge, because he really gets the best memes out of me, out of anybody in the group.
He should be your MC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he should be the MC,
Yeah.
and I want the roast to commence with him as the MC. Absolutely. Because you can tell he does it with whatever kind of love that is. It's not like he says it, there's just enough truth in it, but then it's also like with love and respect. It's so fucking great. That's why I love it. And he may hate me and he's just hiding it so well. I don't know. Don't care. It's good. I'm laughing my ass off. You're absolutely right. We need our ritual supply buckets, prepper buckets, where you can, in fact, that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to make a whole bunch of these guys filled with ritual equipment.
Rituals. Yeah. Prepper bucket. There you go. Now.
Yeah. Prepper magic. Yeah.
Because Lord knows we don't want to head towards, you know, the hills without our sage and our, you know, sigils and stuff.
And real quick, thank you, Dan R. I had a brain fart and forgot. Nina, you don't only do Sin Day, but you also do Hump Day.
That's right.
Oh yeah, Hump Day. Yep.
We're either sinning or we're humping. That's one or the other, you know. And
Yay!
so we might as well embrace it and enjoy it and have some fun, right? So come on over to my channel.
That's a fucking great plug right there.
And I'm also on Discord too, so I do have a Discord channel as well. But
oh yeah, let me get the link for that as well.
Yeah, get to all our Discords. I think someone's asking for all the links again, so pop all those again.
Yep.
But yeah, so go check out Nia's stuff. I mean, she's got all different kinds of products and services and things you can check out. She does readings. Last I checked, you're still doing them.
Yeah.
And you know, it's really good stuff. I mean, she's been a dear friend of this channel for over, I guess, about 2 years now. So, you know, I don't trust easily, but I trust Nina fully, and she's a good person, and she really means the best. And she's not going to steer you wrong. Even if you don't always agree with things, she's not going to steer you wrong. She really has your best interests at heart. I know that because back even in the beginning, when I confided in her about some drama in the community, and she was good to her word, and she kept it perfect, and I really appreciated that. So she will always be a welcome member of my family in the internet world of the occult, and I hope she hopefully keeps the door open for all of us too.
Yeah, no, definitely appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I remember when you first came on the scene, and I was watching you all along there, and yeah, so it's been good. I love it.
I'm a crazy motherfucker, but I'm the good kind of crazy.
We're all a little bit crazy, but
right? Speaking of crazy,
to see that obviously. So there you go. We're entertaining. Yeah.
Speaking of crazy, Eden Garden says, crazy humor is often what one needs to function in life. Dude, I swear, when the comet's coming down that's going to kill us all, you know where I'm going to be? Wherever that thing's going to land, I'm going to do my... I'm going to do my best to be right where it's going to land with my fist or a sword pointed right at it, and my balls swinging in the breeze, because I want to go out as the first thing that thing hits when it hits the ground, because to me, that's hilarious. To be, fuck you!
Please don't let your balls flying in the wind be the last thing that I see, though. But
well, I mean, if I get hit by the comet, that's probably going to go flying in the wind. So it may be one of the first things that goes flying in the wind.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. We got to leave it on a sort of a positive note too. I mean, everybody try and do their thing. Everybody's going to wake up at their own time, and in the meantime, just have some fun. Right now is August. Get out there and have as much fun as you can, because who knows what's coming around fall, right? So
that's actually really important you said that, because on my Discord we brought up, and this will be got to be the last thing just about, this time of year is when certain types of magic and spirits come out the strongest. Shadow people are one of them. Lovecraftian spirits are another. Stronger even than Halloween. Honestly, the late summer season is the absolute going into darkness phase of the spirit world. This is the twilight realm of magic. In fact, I think the veil is actually thinnest in the late summer, to be honest, more so even than Halloween. I know that goes against the grain of some people's beliefs, but honestly, this whole August into, basically from August to October, that whole 2-month wedge, to me, is when I've had the most powerful and prominent spirit contacts that I can I can just walk in the woods and go, oh, there's something here. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just my energy. But to me, that's the biggest gateway time.
It's definitely a magical time. Yeah, I love fall. Love it. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
All right, guys. So thank you for coming in. And of course, if you love me, if you love my wife, if you love Flesh Priest who's sneezing into his elbow, if you love us and you want to support my work in particular, you can go into the link of you go into the description of this video, and I'm sure people have been plastering it all over. Go into the Linktree link that's in the description, click that link, it'll pop open, you'll bring you to a website, it's all popped open. You can buy my books, you can buy my services, you can buy my rituals, you can buy my weekly class that's on every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and if you can't make the class, that's okay, because they're recorded, you can watch them after, and we talk about all of this stuff, but in a less tongue-in-cheek, more instructional kind of way. We do ritual talk. I will guide you through methods and techniques that I use. Some of them are very basic and bland. Some of them are really weird and different. And we talk about all that stuff every week. You get to ask me any questions you want. And it's only $20 a month for at least 3 or 4 classes a month, depending upon holidays or if I got something I got to do, but I try not to do it on Mondays. So I think out of the last 5 or 6 months that I've been doing it, I've missed it 4 times. So really good service. I'm really proud of it. And like I said, if you join that level, you can watch all of them. There's I guess well over 40 hours worth of, probably more like 50 hours worth of classes already to watch. So if you're interested in that, check that out. It's probably my favorite service right now. And you can quit anytime. It's like smoking. So I shouldn't say that because YouTube's gonna, I'm kidding. Don't start smoking.
I actually have in the chat someone wants to see the eye, so I'm going to actually show a different one. Just one moment. This one in particular I am looking for. This.
I do definitely love seeing Camilla just craft away during the streams and then show the fruits of her labor by the time it's done.
Yeah, go to that Etsy link if you want to buy stuff. We're putting up more stuff probably by, I don't know, maybe the end of August at the latest. But
I got a ton of
visit the
stuff in
store.
the works right now. This was actually one, I call it the hidden or the sleeping eye. It might be a little hard to see right now. In normal light without the bright one, it looks almost black.
Yeah, if it's in normal light, you really can't see it. Like you, yeah, there you go. But when you put it under a black light, it pops out.
This is a supremely dark blue that I went with. I've been experimenting with all sorts of colors.
See, you can see it right there. When she took the light off, you could barely see it.
Yeah.
That's. Hold it up again, but turn that one light off that you're using.
I'll put it on low.
See how dark that is? Like you can barely see that in normal light at all.
Yeah.
So then when you shine the black light on it, it like pops. It's really pretty cool. So, we got a lot of interesting new products planned. So.
I did. Unfortunately, with yellow, when it glows green. A little hard to see because of the lighting, but it glows green. So it's you can't really get yellow to glow right.
So those eyes are going to be part of new products, new mirrors. We actually have this new thing that we're making that I insist on having the first of. I want a red eye on it. So it's going to be more of like, I haven't exactly decided what to use it for exactly yet. It may just be an ornament you can give to...
I'm personally aiming towards the chakras, having to do with meditation and opening the chakras.
Because another symbolism for chakras are eyes, by the way. I know it's not common because most people see them as windmills or lotuses, but treating the chakras as an eye is not wrong because they do open and close.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's it, guys. If you guys have anything more you want to say, make sure you check out our Discord. I have a new video that I'm probably going to drop tomorrow. It's all about the way prophecy works. If you're not sick of me, check that out. If you are sick of me, we will be back next week at this time on Thursday. And I'm pretty sure, unless he burns in a fire, knock on wood, because he is in a place where there's a lot of smoke, we will probably have CM Hellnicanian on. Is that right, Fleshy? Is he scheduled for next week?
That is on the schedule. It is also Hellfire where he is at currently. So we'll see. That might have to get penciled in a different date.
I can grill him and find out if he actually loves me during that stream. We'll find out. And then we might even have in the very near future. So we're sort of planning. I have 2 or 3 guests planned for this month extra. We'll probably have a guy that's been on before, Chthonic Tonic. He'll probably be back on because I really want to pick his brains about chthonic stuff now.
Ooh, don't give too many spoilers. We already gave some away.
Well, the other one is going to be one that I don't even know if I should say. He says he wants to do it. Should I say who it might be?
No.
I know you're excited.
We could say they're affiliated with Balg.
Another... Oh, man, I thought Thorne wasn't in Balg, that freaking guy. Surprise, it might be a Balg person, but it's not going to be EA, I promise. Though we miss him. Yeah, so that's going to be... We're going to have an interesting month. We're actually getting a lot of really good people coming on. And I will, of course, rant and rave, and they will sit there and listen to me, and I will feel really cool and special because I'm an arrogant bastard, but I love all of you so much. So I will check you all next week. Is there anything else we should say, Fleshy, or should we close the channel?
Go subscribe to Nina the Mystic. Top comment in the description, or description
Yes.
in the top comment in the doobly-doo.
And subscribe to us, and like this video. Yeah.
And mind the motherfucking shadows.
Mind the shadows, tell your friends, warn your enemies, and never take yourself more seriously than CM Hellnicanian does.
Like that perfect ending note. I like that.